Okay. And we've got folks waiting for us. Welcome, everybody. I'm hoping people can hear us okay. Can I get before we let folks in, maybe I can get a thumbs up from the community. Can everybody hear me all right? So Dennis says you could hear the timbales. Okay, great. And Rob, do you want to check in on the mic there? Make sure people can hear you too.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just want to see. I'm looking at the chat to see if everybody can hear us okay. Am I getting can I get a thumbs up from the chat? Can hear me. Captain can hear fine. Perfect, Captain. Thank you so much. All right. Well, welcome, Rob.
Welcome. Are people people coming in yet? I can't see anybody.
I wanted to are you ready for me to let the floods in?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%.
All right, let's do this. Here we go. Everybody who's been waiting patiently on the chat, I'm going to let you in right now. Here we go. And we should see it populating here in a second. Boom, 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 boom.
Wow.
Let me turn that bell off. I forget to turn that, and it's a little annoying. There we go. All right. So everybody should be joining us now. Welcome, everybody.
Hello, everyone. How are you all today?
Looks like we've got a fun crowd of folks here today joining us.
It's a party bunch.
It's a party bunch. And Rob, thank you so much for making yourself available in the midst of all your craziness with the move and everything else.
And there is a lot of craziness, but our members, you got to soldier through. It's actually the first time I've ever had a light up in here. I actually put a light up in here.
Nice.
So slowly but sure. I mean, I can barely move in here. There's things. I kind of cleared more of a path, but there's things stacked all around me. It's nuts.
All right, I'm going to change to speaker view so we can focus on our individual speakers here today, and I will do my best to keep it to about 10 minutes a person. Although I think I'm good time wise. I don't know how you're doing time wise today, Rob, but I have enough time, and I'll go in order as best as I can. If somebody gets out of queue, I'll try to keep notes so that I can.
Now, are we live on YouTube as well?
We are live. We are live.
Wow.
So
hello, YouTube.
Be careful what you say.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, be careful with what you say, and everybody else, that goes for you too. We'll try to stick it to around 10 minutes a person. And again, thank you so much for having all of you here today, making the time. And I apologize ahead of time if I end up cutting you off. So it's just to make sure that we have enough time for everybody to chat. So we are going to start things off with Julian Mushkin. Julian, you are at the top of the queue, and you should be able to unmute now. Welcome, Julian.
Greetings, everyone.
What's up, dude?
Not much. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
All things being considered.
Yeah, a little discombobulation, but other than that, it's
right.
okay.
I will start us off with your favorite subject, New Trek.
Oh boy.
Which
started with those softballs.
Yes. I saw some stuff online that was in regards to characters. They've been showing those character-centric trailers.
Yes.
For Strange New Worlds. And
yep. You mean half the characters that are pilfered from other people's work?
Yes.
Oh,
and
wait. I'm kidding.
It's obvious that we're probably going to visit Ponfar again, and perhaps we'll get to know some things about T'Pring, and this is obviously before she decided she didn't like Spock anymore. And on some of the other videos I've been watching, apparently I wasn't aware of this, but apparently there are a segment of fans out there who are very, very upset that Spock is going to be heterosexual, apparently, and they're making a ruckus because they're so convinced that he's actually not heterosexual.
Here's the thing. It would, I mean, if Vulcans have mating, built into their biology, and they're compelled every 7 years to mate. That doesn't necessarily mean they're heterosexual. They're just biological imperative is that they have to I would say they have to abide by their biological compulsions. But I think Vulcans, I mean, I'll go out on a limb. I would say Vulcans would explore sexuality the same way they would just explore ideas. I don't think that Vulcans would be so hung up on asexuality. I think that Vulcans would explore physical pleasure or whatever, unless, I mean, but from what I understand, if you're straight or gay, it's you're born that way. So I would imagine Vulcans would probably be born homosexual the same way that any other animal in nature would be born that way. But I also do think that Vulcans would be open to exploring all different forms of sexuality. Clearly, let's go even further. Spock's parents are in an interspecies relationship. So Spock's dad's mated with an alien.
Yes. And don't get me wrong, I am not saying he can't be, and or that individual Vulcans can't be. That's not where I'm coming from, actually.
No, I know. I mean, what's funny is the idea he's never been written as being that way, despite how much slash fiction I own. There's been depictions of Kirk and Spock getting it on for decades.
Yes,
and quite beautifully rendered in some of them, actually. But it's one thing. It's such a strange idea to me that on one hand, as you know, I believe every person has a story to tell. I'm all about inclusiveness, or inclusion. It's very strange to me that everybody wants to go and retcon characters to make them reflect whoever those people are. Like everybody wants everything to reflect them. Like I want this character to be like me, or to represent a belief that I believe in, that I espouse. And it's strange to me that the characters of Spock and Kirk and McCoy and Scotty and Uhura and Chekhov and Sulu were written in a very specific way at a very specific time. And that's how they are. Now, 56 years hence, if people suddenly want to go change those characters, I feel that's fundamentally flawed, because that reasoning means that, well, then, no characters are how they were conceived. Let's just change. David Copperfield or Oliver Twist or Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer. Let's just change them. Let's write the great gay love. Let's write Brokeback Mountain with Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. I mean, you could do that, but why not write your own characters or make Brokeback Mountain like Ong Lee so beautifully did? Why is it that everybody wants to go change these characters that have existed for so long into themselves? It's such a bizarre, it's so bizarre to me. But again, I have lots of slash fiction that I've bought over the years, along with all the rest of my Star Trek fiction. But the fascination there, like, what did they expect? That you're going to go change a 56-year-old fictional character into something that he's not? I think it would be more interesting if Spock embarked in a same. I mean, could you really be gay if you weren't with a Vulcan? Like, if you're in an interspecies relationship with a female, does that mean it's a heterosexual relationship or an interspecies relationship? How would you then define that? A human isn't a Vulcan. So could it be both? Or which comes in the identity politics game? Does Sarek and Amanda's relationship, is it an interspecies relationship first? Or is it a heterosexual relationship first? Does it matter? I mean, these labels that we want to throw on everybody or change things around are to me, it's all an element of the people that are wanting this. It's you want to impose you on whatever fictional character is out there, as opposed to you looking at a fictional character and incorporating that character into your worldview. I've said on the show before, No one wants to go out and meet the world on its own terms anymore. Everybody wants the world to be the way they want it to be. And I don't know when that happened. You know, when I was a kid, first watching Star Trek or boldly going out, venturing out into the world, I didn't expect the world to be the way I expected the world to be alien. And the whole point was you go out and you meet people and you experience things and you do different stuff. And people were never the way I wanted them to be. They were different. And that's what made them exciting. And nowadays, I mean, everybody wants to turn characters. In modern Star Trek, it's like, hey, let's saddle Spock with a learning disability. Because, oh, I have a learning disability, so now I can better relate to Spock. Now let's make Spock the sexuality I want him to be. I think it's odd. And I also think it shows a fundamental lack of imagination. Because if you really wanted to do a great Star Trek story, do an exploration of sexuality, like when Riker in the 4th season episode of TNG Outcast fell in love with a genderless Soren, you know, and she had leanings more toward the female way. And a lot of people now would say, well, that episode doesn't go far enough. Well, yeah, because it was 35 years ago. They could only go as far as they pushed it pretty far. And it was pretty chilling because at the end, she underwent conversion therapy. And they changed that character, or they changed Soren's predisposition through conversion therapy. And the episode ended on a pretty horrific note where her natural inclinations to be more female were eradicated. I mean, that was a great episode of Star Trek, kind of like Cogenitor in Enterprise with a third gender. But people forget that. You know, they forget because those science fiction concepts or the idea that trills are trans. They live as men or women. I mean, we only saw them as binary. I'm sure there are gay trills or non-binary trills. We just didn't see that. But trills live centuries in different, both in male and female bodies, and they've moved beyond gender. We've seen that Jadzia could find her former mate who's in the body. They're both in the bodies of women now and different women, and they can rekindle their love. So I just think that saying those kinds of things about Spock shows a fundamental lack of imagination, and people should demand more from their science fiction. But it's weird. I'm like, I would rather watch a Star Trek show that isn't half populated with characters from the original series. They're going like, we're going to make Strange New Worlds more like the original series. They're literally making it the original series. They're doing the failed pilot that was not accepted by the network. They're doing The Cage as a TV show. So once again, it's a prequel show. I mean, maybe it'll be good. Everyone who saw the first episode at Star Trek Mission Chicago, they're all writing me, Rob, you're going to really like it. Maybe.
That's where I'm at too. Maybe.
Hope springs eternal.
Yes. Well, thanks, Rob.
All right, Julian, it's a good question. I didn't realize that there was a vocal. I mean, I've got a lot of slash fiction. I'll sell them from the 70s for top dollar.
I was watching a YouTube video with Jesse Gender who was trying to explain what it was, why there's this segment out there and why they see it that way.
I watched Jesse Gender. I'm actually a fan,
Mm-hmm.
and her channel. She was going to come on the show.
Oh.
And we talked a little bit about she was back in February, but you know, I mean, this is not anything new in Star Trek fandom. I think a lot of people today don't know that, but they've been calling for a Spock-Kirk relationship since back into the 60s. So, and if you can see, if you KS/fiction for all the people who've never heard of it before, there is a 50-year legacy of depictions of Kirk and Spock in a loving relationship, which, by the way, had been actually incorporated into some officially released, even in Gene Roddenberry's novelization for Star Trek: The Motion Picture. There's a Vulcan word, I think it's pronounced the Hyla, which goes beyond brothers and it could mean lovers or different things. And even that that was Roddenberry wrote it in 79. Or it came out in 79. He wrote that. It was not ghostwritten. He actually wrote the book. And that was in the book that also fueled that speculation. So it isn't something that's new.
Thank you so much, Julian. We are jumping over to Jamie Cruz. Jamie, you should be able to chat now.
Hello.
What's up, dude?
Not much. Getting ready to go down and see Brent next week. Graduation's Thursday.
How's the mood there?
Good.
Yeah, he's gonna go he's stationed in. He was going to Egypt, but now he's going somewhere else.
He's going to Fort Bragg.
Oh, he's going to Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
And are they preparing to go to Europe?
If they are, they're not telling him. Some of them.
Right. I guess they would. And if they were, you couldn't tell me.
Yeah. He's right now. All we're concerned about is getting him from Rucker to Bragg and getting set up in his new housing there, and then we'll see what happens.
Right.
But graduation
cool.
Thursday. Wednesday, I'll be flying in a Huey 212.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've arranged some helicopter rides for us, so we're going to fly around down there some.
Nice. That'll be fun.
But I am in my theater. I don't know how well it's going to show up because it's a little dark. I've got the lights turned up, but it's nothing. I don't think it's quite as big like what your tour you gave us the other day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as you can see, there's more stuff here than there was. And there's going to be a hell of a lot more, but hopefully I get the pod on Monday. So I can actually all of the walls, like this shelf unit's not going to be here. These are all going to be bookcases. So this whole thing, you won't see any wood. People have been very, very sweet. They're like, Rob, I could give you some tips. You could paint the inside. And I'm like, yeah, no. I mean, if people want to come in and drywall it all, that's very nice. I'm just going to put up the bookcases and it'll be all, you won't be able to tell it's a garage anymore. It'll, at least from the camera's point of view.
Let's see. I don't know if you can see anything in here or not. It's too dark. But
it looks pretty big in there though.
Yeah, it's about 22 by 21, something like that.
Nice.
But
there's a lot of spaceships.
Yeah, I've got my Enterprise over there. My movies, my screen. You can't see all my stereo equipment.
Yeah, I got my refit Enterprise. I did something absolute. I'll admit this only to the members. I dropped a hot toy on my Master Replicas Enterprise, TOS Enterprise, and it completely broke the saucer section off of it.
Ooh, it's not good.
I can fix it. I don't know if the lights are going to work. I'm very upset. I mean, it was one of those things where I had this box. It was actually the Indiana Jones hot toy, and I was moving it, and it just slipped out of my hands as I was walking through this corridor where I'm sitting, and it fell right on the saucer section. It's one of those things where you just look down and think, there's nothing you can do. You can't get angry about it. Just have to assess the damage and move on.
You see my new Dune bookends, my sandworms?
Oh, those are, hang on, I'm going to bring those up. That's really cool. And you've got, I love that you have the original 6, pardon me.
Yeah, that's the original 6. And those things weigh about 25 pounds a piece, but they're
they look nice. Now, who made those?
Dark Horse.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Are those new?
Yep, just got them yesterday.
Wow, those are cool.
I pre-ordered them long before the movie came out, but it's number 800 out of 2,000 they made.
Wow, that's nice. That's great. What's underneath? From where I'm looking, if you go right underneath the sandworm and then you go to the right, what are those books? What are the
to the right?
Oh yeah, my right. Not that side, the other side, right below the sandworms. Yeah, right there. What are those things right there that where your hand is?
These are master portraits of the kids.
Oh no, but are the books next to them? Are those the?
Everything to this side are all photo albums.
Oh, okay.
Over here, I've got Battlestar Galactica, Breaking Bad, and
I have that Blu-ray box set. How great is that box set?
It's awesome.
It's awesome, and that documentary that's in it's great too.
Yep. Yeah. So I guess we never get to really see. I don't know if you can see over here, but on this side, up on top are old sets.
Look at that, Space 1999, Babylon 5. That's a very respectable collection you have there. Voyager, Lord of the Rings. That's pretty good, man. That's a good that's a very respectable physical media collection you have there.
Yeah, it's been going for a while. But
Now look at that. Wait, hang on. Slow that down. Go back. Let me see that screen. All right. Now is that projector?
yeah,
Now how big is that screen? That's nice.
100-inch.
Very nice.
It's 1080p with 3D. So I've thought about going to 4K, but I don't want to give up the 3D yet.
Yeah, I know. What a great room that is.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. So
do you have Atmos? Do you have Atmos in there?
I do. I don't know if you can see in the dark, but towers, let's see. Atmoses are here. Towers, it's too dark over here.
Yeah, but that's a heck of a theater, man. 100-inch screen.
It'll crank up pretty good. And then over here, let's see if you can see some of the artwork.
Yeah. That's a great room. Do you ever let anybody else in there?
just a few.
Because I wouldn't.
Well, if you ever come East Tennessee, you're welcome.
Nice. And I love Tennessee, but I've only been to outside of Nashville. It's beautiful.
Well, we've got even more greenery and mountains on this side.
Yeah. What are the mountains called? Aren't they
Smoky.
called?
The Smoky Mountains.
The Smoky Mountains. Right.
Well,
I love that. What a great room.
I'm always impressed by your hopefulness on Star Trek these days, because I just don't have it.
Well, it's fun. That's funny because people, I don't think they would think that I am hopeful. I mean, it's really interesting that I've been watching Terry Matalas, who's the showrunner for this season of Picard, block people on Twitter that are bringing up very valid criticisms of the show. Not like, your show sucks, dude, but they'll bring up these valid criticisms. And I've always believed that as a creator, you should never go on social media and engage in, you should never defend your work on social media, because you will lose. You've already lost. If you feel that you have to defend your work on social media, then you haven't done your job, because the work should speak for itself. And it's been interesting watching, I was pre-blocked by Star Trek on Paramount Plus, which is interesting because doesn't my promotion of Star Trek, the motion picture, the 4K version, does that not carry any weight with you? But apparently it's really interesting that rather than engage in spirited debate, people would just want to squelch or dissent or a squelch or not have a dissenting opinion. And the funny thing about that is Star Trek fans have been arguing. Rick Berman told me that he believed, when we were interviewing for TNG, he said that the thing that built the internet was pornography and Star Trek, because when the internet was first new, people were either on Star Trek message boards arguing about warp engines, or they were downloading porn.
Well, you and I both know that because we're old enough to remember pre and during when the message BBSs started popping up. That's where it started.
Oh, the first time I ever saw a BBS board, in 1988, when I started at USC, my roommate John Parkan set up a BBS board that could, like, 20 people could log in, and it was a BBS board for Star Trek. And I would sit on my dining room table, and glowing green text screens, and there'd be like, you'd see like 20 people were on. I'm like, who are these people? Like, where did they come from? How do they even know to call this number? And we'd sit there and talk Star Trek. I would talk Star Trek for hours. And this was 34 years ago.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Star Trek, I did buy my the motion picture tickets for May 22nd here locally.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, look, do I believe that it's 100% perfect? Certainly not. And there's a lot of things that I have criticisms, but for the most part, when you see it in a theater, the thing that you'll notice the most is the sound mix. It finally sounds like a real movie, because it always had muffled dialogue. They found all the ADR tracks. It just sounds like a different movie. And they also use, like, the opening overture, Ilia's theme. they used a different version of the overture than was in the original film, because the original film did not have the long overture that was recorded. And now they've gone back to it's the first time, and it's beautiful. It's different, but I think it's beautiful. And it's the one that was originally supposed to be on the film. And sitting in that theater, it was amazing hearing it. You know, I saw it on the Paramount lot, and they actually let me on the lot. When I went up to the security guard, I'm like, I showed him my ID, and I kept waiting to be like, sir, you're not allowed on this lot. But I was let on. So that was fun. So that was good.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Sorry, your time is up. Hey, Rob, we're getting some super chats. Do you want me to read them out to you now? Wait for the.
You know what? I forgot. Yeah, let me go there.
I can actually pull it up here. I can read you the question if you want me to.
Oh, I've got them.
Okay,
I just forgot to pull that up. I
Sure.
forgot to put it, and we've got some super chats from. Yeah, I'll do those super chats. The Moon. The Moon says, "What are your thoughts on the Orville? I feel like it's a pretty good modernization of TNG, even though it was initially intended to be a parody." I really like the Orville. You know, it's not perfect. I have enjoyed most of it. I think sometimes their stories become too personal, maybe too character oriented, and not enough science fiction. But for the most part, I've really enjoyed the Orville. You know, I think it's fun, but it seems to me to be like Star Trek light, but I really enjoy it. You know, it's very lovingly crafted, and Seth MacFarlane is the biggest Star Trek fan in the world. Luckily, he participated when we were doing the we both interviewed him. He moderated our Star Trek Next Generation Writers Roundtable that appears on the 3rd season Blu-ray set, and I thought he's done a great job. I really enjoy the Orville. So thanks for that super chat, Moon. The Moon.
And now we've got the Cinemike. Cinemike, how are you? Welcome.
Hello.
How are you, sir? How are things? We're in your neck of the woods.
It's great. It's summer season here, so yeah, it's hot during the day. Although it rained here earlier, which is also great. But
yeah.
But I've been watching a lot of TV for the for the past few days. Like there's so many TV shows now. I can't, I'm having a hard time, figuring out, free time to do and watch everything. Although, yeah, and
did you see that article that said there's like 800,000 hours of currently streaming shows?
Wow.
And like 200,000 hours of them or something like that have been made in the last year.
Well, I know that there are a lot of TV shows, but I have no idea that there's like 800,000 hours.
It's just insane.
Yeah, it's great. Like example, first I've been enjoying Tokyo Vice on
I have too. I read that book when it first came out. I thought the first episode that Michael Mann directed was great. The other 2 episodes didn't have his visual style, but I really liked the show.
Yeah, I've been enjoying Tokyo Vice. I thought Ken Watanabe is wonderful on that role.
So good.
I caught up with that yesterday. I think it's only until episode 5 so far, and it's been great. I'm having a hard time explaining why I love Tokyo Vice, but it just like every single arc.
Because it's awesome, Mike.
Yeah,
you love it because it's awesome.
And also it felt immersive.
Yes.
It felt like I was in 1999 in Tokyo. It really, I felt like I was in that time. So yeah, then I've also been enjoying The Dropout, which already ended like a week ago.
Loved it.
Yeah,
Amanda Seyfried, she was amazing.
Yeah, and I think she will win an Emmy later this year.
Oh, because I used to watch videos of Elizabeth Holmes just because of the way she talked. I can't. She nailed her. And I have to say, she's been appearing on a lot of talk shows to promote this.
Yeah.
And she's just a delight.
Yeah.
I think she's just hilarious. I really, really love her.
Yeah, and she's just fantastic as Elizabeth Holmes. I thought the final episode secured her Emmy, especially with that final scene. You know, I'm not going to spoil the detail, like that final scene when she was waiting for her Uber. You know, she did something there. She did some acting there that I thought was like, wow. I think she will win this year.
Yeah, I mean, what a strange thing that, you know, Elizabeth Holmes, the real Elizabeth Holmes, is still with us. You know, she's still dealing with all of this stuff. I mean, what must it be? I keep watching, like, what must it be like? Because Amanda's performance is nuanced. You don't hate her.
Yeah.
You know, you're actually, you sympathize. And I think anybody who's tried to do something like that, you know, you kind of, you feel for her. At least I do.
Yeah, you understand her, but at the same time, you know that everything that's happened is very sketchy.
Yeah. Well, what's so funny is I've never understood. I've always found it fascinating. Why do people dig themselves these holes that they can't get out of?
Yeah.
You know, I know is it narcissism? Is it like, what is it? Because she knew that at some point she was going to be completely, utterly fucked.
Yeah, she was very much aware that this whole Theranos thing it doesn't work. You know, the tiny drops of blood that could determine whatever it is, like it doesn't work. And I also, when, you know, besides Amanda, I thought the entire supporting cast that they also Sam, like Naveen Andrews, Sam Waterston, Laurie Metcalf, William H. Macy.
It's incredible.
Yeah, incredible cast they assembled. Then I've also been enjoying the recent shows on Apple TV Plus. You know, I love Severance. The season finale was.
I haven't seen it yet. Don't tell me.
Right.
Don't. By the way, Slick Werewolf says that he notices I'm sitting on the floor. I don't have a chair yet. The chair I'm bringing back today.
So yeah, the season finale of Severance is just fantastic. I've also been enjoying Week Crash, you know, with Jared Leto and Hathaway. They only have like one episode left, you know, because they've aired episode 7 and it's 8 overall. They have one. I've been enjoying it as well. I also love Pachinko on Apple TV+.
Yeah, I really want to. I haven't watched that yet.
It's a fantastic show. I think it is probably the most beautifully made TV show right now. It felt I think
is that Apple Plus?
Yeah, it's also on Apple TV Plus.
Apple's crushing. They're crushing it.
Every single episode of that show is very cinematic. I think the directors is Justin Chon, who directed Blue Bayou, and Akogo Nada, who directed After Yang, and I think it's Columbus. He directed a few years ago. So, you know, and it also has a great cast of Korean and Japanese actors. You know, with Yo Jung Yun, who won an Oscar last year. So also great cast. I've also been enjoying Gary Oldman's show, Slow Horses.
Oh yeah, I've heard it. I mean, there's all this this content is, you know, that's why all of these shows are so great. And I'm like, why is Star Trek so fucking bad?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't. It's amazing. That's the thing that really pisses me off. I think the most is you're watching something like a Severance, or you're watching, whether it's The Dropout or Pachinko. These shows are A-list, beautifully made, beautifully conceived, beautifully written programs. And I feel that we're getting the D-list making modern Star Trek. They have all the resources, but what they don't have is they don't have the writing. I mean, this season of Picard is awful in a way that season 1 wasn't.
What is happening so far on this season? I have no idea where they are going. Like it's like some episodes. Like, I'm not sure why it has to take an entire episode. Like like they would do all these backstories or whatever. Like I have no idea what they were going for.
Well, I don't even understand the plot.
Yeah,
Like why is there a supervisor like Gary Seven, the supervisor from Assignment Earth?
Yeah.
Why does that supervisor have to watch over a woman for 24 years? Like this Renee Picard. Like, why 24 years? Like, what was she supposed to make sure the character didn't get hit by a bus 24 years ago? When Gary Seven came to Earth, they were there looking at specific events. I mean, I guess they're time travelers or whatever. But what does that have to do with what Q did? And this alternate universe, this situation that Q said, I feel like I don't think the writers really knew what was going on as they started it, because none of it. So if you go back to that first episode, the Borg contact the Federation through a rift in time space and ask to speak to Picard. So did they know this was going to happen? So once they get the fleet they take over the Stargazer, and then they blow up all the Federation ships, and then a fascistic Confederacy, the Confederation is created, but Q is involved. I'm like, I don't think they really know.
Yeah, it's
if you go back to the first episode, I'm like, how's that all going to track? Is it going to track?
Exactly. It felt different from what they set up in the beginning. So it's just convoluted and muddled and messy. I have no idea what they were.
And it's not fun.
Yeah.
It isn't, whatever. I could go on and on and on about that. But when you see like a show like Pachinko, and you look at how lovingly crafted it is, you have people that really understand. They're writing something. They're not copying a dozen different previous science fiction episodes and television movies or movies in general. Severance felt fresh, unique.
Yeah.
The Dropout and We Work. I mean, I guess that's a new subgenre of really successful tech companies that flamed out spectacularly.
Yeah, because there's also the Uber miniseries. It's super pumped. So we're now at the age of failed CEO getting miniseries. Although I would say though that while there's also great TV, I would say that I'm not sure if there's a lot of you there watch Killing Eve. They have aired the final episode a week ago. I'm not going to spoil, but I was very, 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 very disappointed by the ending of Killing Eve. I think it is in the conversation of one of the worst series finale of all time. I'm not gonna spoil what happened, but yeah, but I think a lot, like if you read all these reactions online, I think they will share the same sentiment as me. It's very disappointing. It's abrupt.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it's especially because the first season, which was showrun by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, was great. I thought that was a great season of spy thriller, also unique of television. I thought the season 2 was also great, which, with Emerald Fennell as a showrunner, because they change showrunners every season, which ultimately at the end, I think it didn't work, the changing of showrunners, because the final episode, it was just a disappointing, like, I feel like they don't know really how they will truly end it in a satisfying way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like a huge letdown at the end. Although I still love the show prior to the end.
Yeah. No, it's too bad. I mean, one of the things I really do like about where television is right now, especially if you look at Apple, is they're demanding excellence from the people that are making these shows. So far, because they don't have so many shows, everything that has to go up on their service has to be A-list. And I think they're really delivering. I can't wait to see the third season of For All Mankind. The last episode of the second season was one of the finest hours of TV in the last 20 years. So, and it was really earned. I mean, it's funny, when I first started watching the second season, I'm like, there's so much domestic drama on the home front. but all of that domestic drama played into what happened on the moon. Yeah, and all of it was really, really earned, and it worked really, really well if you're up for it. And I cannot wait to see the coming apocalypse that is the final 7 episodes of Ozark. I expect nothing less than the end of the frickin' world. The last 7 episodes of Ozark are going to be crazy. I can't wait. But we're getting, I mean, I wish that the studio, you know, it's funny when Martin Scorsese or our filmmakers talk about, or Roland Emmerich, since the moon sent in a super chat, when they're talking about the lack of quote unquote cinema, I think that the stories that cinema used to deal with have completely migrated over to television. And movies now are definitely more event pictures, theme park rides, whatever. And I don't poo-poo that. I mean, I can't wait to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, or Thor: Love and Thunder, or Top Gun Maverick, which I'm really looking forward to. I think that's fine. But to see the lovingly crafted shows that are on like Apple, that are, and Ozark as well, they're not just, you know, you set up shots to have perfunctory shots. Television is really dipping more into the cinematic arts. They're becoming much more, the shows are becoming much more cinematic. Even Star Trek is, even though I think all of their choices are wrong, but there's still the widescreen photography and everything. It's great. It's great to see what we're getting on TV.
Rob, we got a super chat from Christopher Wolf saying Star Trek Discovery is the participation trophy of modern science fiction. Live long and prosper.
Thank you for that, Christopher Wolf. I agree. I mean, look, it's so strange that I don't even think it's a participation trophy. It's the writers of Star Trek Discovery want to be known as their entire reason for making the show is, in my mind, to get patted on the back for them ticking all of our modern identity politics boxes. And I never wanted to be that guy screaming about identity politics and all that, but I'm like, where's my great storytelling? You know, where's the great, and stop ripping off other people's movies and other people's TV shows. Stop doing that. And go hire some science fiction writers. And you know, now one of the things I actually have to say that I do like is they're now ripping off Star Trek novelists. Spock's first name, for instance, which is unpronounceable according to Spock, came from a 1985 Star Trek novel by Barbara Hambly called Ishmael. And, you know, they had where's Kirsten Beyer, who co-created Star Trek Picard? Where is she? You know, why are the last 2 episodes, why are they written by a Canadian actress writer who's only ever written on shows that were as far away from science fiction as possible? Like, why is she writing on the show? Those last 2 episodes, I don't get it. I don't understand.
All right. Well, maybe Jeff Bingham understands. It's your turn, Jeff. Come on in.
No, I'm not here to talk Trek.
That's okay.
Yeah. So interestingly, I wanted to kind of continue on the topic that I discussed the previous one in light of, I don't know if you paid attention to this, but Vulture magazine last week had this sort of erotic thrillers week to discuss, like, I guess, the impact of erotic thrillers since its inception and where it stands at this point. So I had mentioned previously that it was a quote unquote guilty obsession for me at that time. Now it has mutated into an obsession of sorts.
Erotic thrillers or the Vulture article?
No, the general notion of erotic thrillers. Yeah.
Look, I'm a huge fan. You know, it's one of my favorite genres that has almost completely gone away. I think our society has unfortunately forgot what eroticism even is.
Well, I mean, you brought up the notion that the easy availability of pornography has had an effect on it. And what thinking about that, though, just from my own personal taste, like, how many variations of like different porn scenarios does one have to watch before it gets tiresome? You know what I mean? Like, how many variations of a woman fucking her pizza delivery guy do people have to watch before they want something new?
Well, I mean, the funny thing about eroticism is it's about so much more than just the actual act of copulation.
Yeah.
It's you're dealing with a person's personality, and you're dealing with their desires, and you're dealing with their dreams, and you're dealing with their ambition. And what does it mean? Like, you go back and you watch Fatal Attraction, which Paramount released. I think it came out in what, 87?
87, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got Glenn Close and Michael Douglas, and Michael Douglas has this beautiful wife, Ann Archer. And she and the kids are gone for the weekend, and there's this great, Glenn Close is very much predatory when they first meet, and you can tell she might not be as good looking as Ann Archer was, but you can tell that she's got a nasty streak that would be a lot of fun to dip into, so to speak. And they have this, and it seems like she is good to go, and that no muss, no fuss. We have an understanding. You're alone, I'm alone, blah blah blah. And then of course it turns out that she's just a heavily damaged individual, probably incredibly lonely, has had a string of failed relationships that you don't know. So suddenly an erotic thriller turns into just a thriller, and this woman who made herself available becomes monstrous, and in a way nowadays people would say that this is a man, it would not, Fatal Attraction would not be reviewed very well if it came out today, I don't think, but I think it's a great erotic thriller.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing about Fatal Attraction is that it has spawned numerous copycats.
Oh, it's got to be one of the most, we talk about influential movies. Fatal Attraction has to be one of the most influential movies of the last 35 years, bar none.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Michael Douglas has been like, at least during the heyday, was like a prominent male lead for the erotic thriller. He did a Fatal Attraction, which was copycat ad nauseum, and on the other hand, you have Basic Instinct, which I can't think of any copycat off the top of my head.
I don't know if you can see. Let's see.
I saw the hot toy for Sharon Stone.
You see there's my Sharon Stone quarter scale statue right there. She's sitting right next to the Slave One.
Seems appropriate.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but pardon me, I should say the Fire Spray class ship that Boba Fett uses.
Yeah.
So there she is. God bless her.
Yeah. But anyway, there haven't really been any real Basic Instinct copycats, have there?
Oh, I think that there were. I mean, I
can't think of any off the top of my head.
I mean, there was stuff like Linda Ferrantino and The Last Seduction. I mean, but I think about, Body Heat predated Fatal Attraction, and that was another erotic thriller. Kathleen Turner was one of the great modern femme fatales. You're not very intelligent. I like that in a man. I mean, come on. And I think now, again, with our political climate, I don't know if you could, I think I would love, I don't know if you've seen Deep Water.
I tried. It didn't really vibe with me. I guess the energy level of the movie didn't really click with me.
What's so interesting about that movie is, so it's based on a Patricia Highsmith novel that wrote like the Ripley's Talented Mr. Ripley and stuff. And basically Ben Affleck is playing the ultimate cuck, using that word that's so popular now, where his hot wife just humiliates him with other men over and over and over again. And I was watching it, I'm thinking to myself, but this isn't fun. I'm not having fun watching this movie. I had previously brought up in the last one, that one for Amazon Studios with Sydney Sweeney called The Voyeurs. Right.
Yeah, I had fun. I had complained about like the final act plot twist, but I kind of enjoyed watching it in spite of it, because there's sort of a trashy appeal. But because one of the things about The Vulture is that they said that there is an audience for the return of the erotic thriller, and they sort of appreciate the trashiness of it. It's the studios that have to
well, yeah, because
the political climate.
Yeah, the political climate has killed. I think part of the problem with our society now is there's no eroticism anymore at all. I mean, like I said, I mean, I think somebody needs to do a great gay erotic thriller. You know, do something. I mean, you want to dip into identity politics. You go, so to speak, you go hard, man. And I think it'd be awesome to make. I don't know if I'd be the person to make. I'd produce it. You know, I'd want
you want Basic Instinct 3 first and foremost, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, but I think that what would be interesting is I think if you really wanted to be provocative now, you make a same-sex erotic thriller, and I think it should be men as opposed to women, because that would really, you make it women, then straight guys will watch it. I think you really need to go hard and see just how far you could go and really push people's buttons. You know, I got to tell you, the thing that I am most excited about, especially after seeing the trailer drop, the last observations I did was about Crimes of the Future. I don't know if you guys watched the trailer. There's the American teaser and there's the French trailer. And I'm like, bravo, David. You did not hold back. You went full on. And I'm like, Cronenberg, if Cronenberg directed the ultimate gay erotic thriller, it would be awesome, I think. And maybe it'll be too clinical, but somebody, I would love to bring back the erotic thriller. I think that it would be awesome to do something like that. But you know, nowadays it's people would have to sign a consent form. Like it was, if they made it today, Michael Douglas would meet Glenn Close and they would flirt, and she'd bring out a form and she's like, okay, if we're going to engage in this extramarital affair, you're going to have to read this paper that was provided to me by my lawyer, and you're going to look at all these deal points and you're going to sign it, which would of course kill the whole point of an erotic thriller.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think that's one of the problems with the modern age. We don't live deliciously, like Black Phillip said in The Witch. What has happened to our society? Like eroticism is one of the driving forces of art, and it's all gone.
Yeah, and I think that's that kind of ties into another point. I had said previously that Amazon had originally intended to bring back the erotic thriller, but they hadn't delivered any beyond that one with Sydney Sweeney. One of the Vulture articles said that unofficial confirmation that Amazon was reneging on their plans. So, and that's obviously unfortunate. Well, I mean, Basic Instinct 3 was a long shot anyway, but
oh yeah, I think you go back and you look at Basic Instinct 2, which people hated when it came out.
Yeah.
You watch it now, it's perfectly acceptable. The guy, Henry Bean, who wrote, and Cronenberg was going to direct Basic Instinct 2 at one point. Man, I would love to have seen that. Yeah. But, you know, you go back and you look at that. I mean, now erotic thrillers are like cheap. They're just one step away from a Hallmark movie.
Lifetime movies. Yeah.
Lifetime movie. And Lifetime has been making erotic thrillers.
Yeah. Well, those are the places where you get a lot of the Fatal Attraction copycats. Yeah. And, you know, what's interesting is in the theme of the Vulture week, I watched one particular Fatal Attraction copycat. Are you familiar with The Crush with Carrie Elwes and Alicia Silverstone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I had watched it a while back. I didn't remember that much about it. And then I rewatched it again recently, and it has the funniest punch I've ever seen at the end. Like there's like this YouTube video just devoted to it. It's like she just goes flying. No, it's like I kept rewinding it. I kept like, you know, hitting like the 10-second back button just to watch that moment. That was the funniest thing.
Those were the days. Those were the days.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff. Sorry to have to cut you off, but we have a long list of folks wanting to jump into chat. And we have another super chat who just came in. Rob, glad to see you settling in. You'll be set up before you know it. Have you had a chance to see everything everywhere all at once yet? It's
I am
nuts.
so remiss in my movie going. I have not seen everywhere. I haven't seen everything everywhere all at once. I need to go see it. I'm going to try and see it this weekend. I got to finish up the very last of the move, but then I'm going to go see it because I'm dying to.
The one thing my daughter said, Rob, is that it is a must-see in the theater for that movie. Just big FYI.
I'm glad it's doing well and people really love it.
Yeah. We got Mikey coming in. Mikey, I might see you in June. I'm going to be in New York City, so we'll have to talk.
Welcome. We'll all come out to meet you.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and you must. That was the question that I was going to ask you, was about everything everywhere all at once.
I know I'm a bad person.
I use a Rob word to describe it. It is totally bonkers.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait to see it. It looks so good.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So just to touch on some subjects that have come up while we've been sitting here. I don't want any Star Trek character to be like me, with the possible exception of Bones McCoy. I want him to be a grouchy bastard.
I love it.
And about erotic thrillers, apparently you haven't heard about my psychosexual drama exploring why Nightwing left Batman.
No, but I would read it. Yeah, so, I can only imagine.
So I'm saving that for the short story contest, and then I'll have to get busy.
Oh, which we're going to bring back, and if people have sent in short stories already, those are already included. So, and we're going to get that done this year. We're going to get the submissions out, and my plan is to get the book printed by Christmas, so people can give it out as Christmas gifts or whatever. So once I move, once I do this, I plan on going full on with getting that done. So
your influence is killing me and costing me money.
Uh-oh.
So a week ago, no, I'm not going that far. A week ago, Tuesday, I finally stopped into the local comic book store.
Oh, okay.
So I picked this up. I don't know if you can see it.
It's reflecting. Can you just turn it right up, pull it back a little bit?
Hold on. I got to move the microphone out of the way.
Oh, nice. And that looks like a hardcover.
Yes, it is. Well, it's a soft cover, but it's a book.
Is it the Ta-Nehisi Coates version?
Reginald Hudley.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So this is
it great?
I was explaining to people. I did a stream earlier in the week, and I explained to people that when we were growing up, I'm so sick of hearing you talk about you being next to the grave. I'm closer to the grave than you are.
I do that in jest. Like, I'm not one of these. I am so not morose about it or anything like that. I just say it for fun rather than saying I'm such an old fuck. But
but when we were coming up, we used to pick up comic books either in like the local candy store or in the rack at the drugstore or what have you. And so this is actually the first time that I walked into a comic book store. So
ever in your whole life?
Oh yes, absolutely.
So what was that like?
It was very interesting. I talked to the owner of the store who, I mean, to me, it's fascinating because I'm 68 and a half years old. And I talked to the owner of the store. He's 31.
Of course. Yeah. All right.
So he's like, well, I mean, to me, it was like, wow, that's really young. So I talked to him. I asked him if I could film in there, and he gave me permission. So I'm going to do that in the future because he didn't want me to do it that day. He was doing inventory.
Right. Okay.
So I'll make arrangements with him, and then I'll go in. It's a small store, but I found it very interesting. Tom would like it a whole lot because I don't know how much Funko Tom has, but the place was full. The place
Wow.
was absolutely full. So I decided to pick this up just so that I could take a little read and see what's what in the comic book world.
Now, when
go
did Hudlin write it? How old is that?
this is not that old. I have my glasses. I'm sorry.
Oh, here, I'm gonna see Reggie Hudlin.
Yeah, it's not evident. Oh, 2005.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So it goes back. By the way, I think a first issue graded of that series is worth $1,500 at
Wow.
9.8. Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah, so I found that very interesting, or what have you. Oh God, there's that what have you thing again. I have a question that I need you to fill me in on, and if I'm wrong, you just need to tell me.
Well, if I know the answer,
I am so sick of Avi Arad. I can't stand it. Because everything that's wrong with the Sony universe of Marvel characters, I put down to Avi Arad. And I have this slide that was at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home that made me absolutely sick when I saw it. So my question is, why was this man so important to the Marvel universe?
well, he ended up he became the head creative officer of Marvel. You know, he's an Israeli businessman.
Oh, did you freeze?
Believe
Oh,
with Toy Biz, the company that made they were making Marvel action figures in the 90s, and he took it over, and then he basically became Marvel, and it was him, because Marvel was not in a good place, and he sort of revitalized Marvel and was able to be instrumental in getting the X-Men movies, even though Lawrence Schuler Donner had already bought the rights, but Spider-Man. So he was able to, here, let me hang on a second. And so basically without him, I don't think we would have the modern comic book universe. But the problem is, you know, he's one of these old school guys, I think, that didn't understand that all of these things could have an appeal beyond. Well, I mean, he did, because he got the movies made, but I don't think his taste was necessarily sophisticated. Like, I go back to thinking, you know, when I was working on the Blu-rays for both X-Men and X-Men X2, it was really interesting because Lawrence Schuler Donner, who had got the rights to the X-Men franchise, did not like, I mean, I don't think she would say this now, but at the time when I was looking through all the documentary materials and then interviewing her myself, she did not like Bryan Singer's approach to the X-Men. This very self-important, very serious approach, because there was this idea, and I think this is what hampered comic book films for a long time, by a lot of the creatives involved, that comic books were indeed for kids. And this is a very American point of view. Obviously, in Asia and in Europe, comic book art was not that. It was not only for children. But Avi Arad was one of those people that, yeah, I'm buying this toy company and all that. So his sensibilities are not, say, Kevin Feige's sensibilities, and the possibilities of where we could go with these things. Now, he's still instrumental. The Sonyverse still owes a great debt of gratitude to him, because if it wasn't for Avi Arad, Sony wouldn't have the rights to Spider-Man. So that's why he gets all that. But I don't think he certainly doesn't have the creative sensibilities that we have come to enjoy during the modern comic book film. Yet he's one of the architects of it,
Yeah,
which is sort of.
I was supremely disappointed by Morbius.
Oh my God!
And I recently saw Ambulance.
Right.
It's just as stupid as Morbius, but yet still, I enjoyed Ambulance quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, because well, I mean, the thing about Morbius, it feels like at least Ambulance, you know that the people that made it gave you the movie they set out to make. I felt that Morbius was truncated and cut down, and it was a lot of it was sort of nonsensical, and I'm like, wait, you're making a vampire movie where he's eviscerating people and there's no blood? You know, it's because you have to keep it PG-13. It was such a weird choice. I mean, why not lean heavily into what Morbius is? Morbius, the living vampire. You've got Jared Leto. You did the wrong thing. You can't, this idea that you're making, you got to go full on R-rated, go Logan, you know, go Deadpool. I don't know why this idea that, well, these movies are really for kids. Really? Are they?
Thank you so much, Mikey. That was great. We've got Stubble McShave coming on board. Stubble, you can unmute now.
What's up, dude?
Yeah, everything's all right. How is it with you?
Well, you know, I'm a little still discombobulated. I'd like to have a chair to sit in. That'd be nice.
Yeah. You know, I've sent in a few super chats to the John Campea show when you have been on.
Oh, I know, and it's been fun.
Yeah, a filter kicked in the last time, and I didn't send it because I thought maybe you wouldn't. I didn't know how you would react to it. You know, he has had those 4 images up on the screen of you guys, and when you have been away, there's been a still image of you.
Yeah.
And I thought of writing something in style with, it's nice to see a picture of Rob there. It would be interesting if you had one where he's sleeping in front of a microphone. Too bad no such picture exists anywhere.
You know, it's funny. I totally forgot that I rescheduled the stream last night, you know, and I was moving and I started to get these messages. Where are you? You're not on your stream. I'm like, wait, what? You know, I was in transit. I'm like, oh man, I totally forgot. And Tom sent me a picture of me sleeping. I forgot about that. Because it's hilarious.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I know, unfortunately, or my take on who will be the guy that at Warner who gets DC property. And I hope it's not, but I think it may be J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I hope that isn't the case. But you know, they'll make a pitch. They're going to say TV, and I just think that you know, well.
He's got a foot in the door already, so I thought maybe he'll be the guy they pick, but I hope not.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, look, you know, but from a Hollywood corporate standpoint, Star Trek and Star Wars, why not give him DC? You know, he was the original guy that he had written Flyby that McGee was going to direct before Brian took over and made Superman Returns. And his script wasn't the greatest for Superman. Or and look, I hope it's good. I hope whatever they do is good. I just don't think that they're great for TV, sort of. Yeah. But I giving them the DC reins. You know, if you look at what J.J. Abrams, Rise of Skywalker, here, Force Awakens here. There's $1 billion in between the two. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's not good. You know, if somebody has a franchise that starts out, you come out of the gate, regardless of why, if people are waiting for Star Wars, they hadn't seen it in 10 years. When you go from $2 billion to $1 billion, that's a problem. Yeah, you can't blame anybody else. You gotta, and where Where's the J.J. Abrams? Where's anything that they were going to do at Warner Brothers? Where was their Superman movie? Where's their Val Zod movie? Whatever the hell they were going to do? Where is it? Why are they back at Star Trek producing a Star Trek movie at Paramount when they were given $500 million by Warner Brothers?
But by the way, tomorrow I'm going to see. I have tickets for a movie that I think will be my favorite movie of the year. It's called A Brutal, Blood-Soaked Masterpiece, a most metal adaptation of Hamlet. Gladiator meets Hamlet meets Star Wars.
Oh man, I'd watch that. What is this movie?
The Northman.
Oh, of course.
It's the original Hamlet story told in a most brutal way without.
We're all dying to see that. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's without the long monologues. Instead, a lot of brutal killing and a lot of blood and stuff, and all the good stuff. By the way, I think it will be a great movie to discuss on Midnight Metal with Dave.
Oh yeah, I that's a great idea because Dave and I are going to still do it once a month.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see it
because I think it's almost the definition of a metal movie.
I think it's the most metal of all metal movies. It's totally. We'll do that. We'll do. I'll call Dave and tell him he'll be in. He'll love to do that.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
Anyway, one last thing. I sent a DM to you on Twitter
today or recently.
Just a few minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, you like screening rooms and private screening rooms. And in the CBS interview with Brandon Sanderson, they showed some images from there.
Is that his screening room?
Yeah.
Wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
What a great screen. Yeah, this is my dream. Wow, what a cool screening room that is.
Yeah, it's look really. I would like to have that in my basement if I had a basement.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very expensive screening room. He's done a very good job with this. Wow. Yeah. I can't believe it. He made over $41 million on his Kickstarter.
Yeah, 41.7. So you round it up to 42 and it's, 42. What's that number?
It's the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah, but that includes shipping and stuff. So he has to print all the stuff as well. So, he doesn't get 41 million or 41.7 million in his pocket.
No, but he'll get a lot of it.
Yeah.
Now where does he live? Is he British?
Yeah, no, he's in Utah.
Oh, he's an American?
Yeah.
So he'll get a big chunk of that will be taken out in taxes too.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, my God, he'll probably pocket quite a bit of that.
And he has that screening room before he gets those 42 million.
Oh yeah. That's what I want to do on this property. My dream is to build a dedicated screening room, a 2-story structure that has a screening room and a post-production facility. That's the dream for the rest of my life, to put my physical media in there.
And something else, just one thing I realized, in 1995, P.T. Jackson had his idea to do the Lord of the Rings. The first idea, at least according to Wikipedia.
Yep.
You can't always trust them, but that's when he got the idea and he started working on the script. And he held his Oscar in 2003, I think.
Right.
That's 8 years.
Yeah.
The Flash movie has been in production more than from when he got the idea to make Lord of the Rings to when he had held his Oscar for the third movie.
Of course, that's hilarious. And who knows if that Flash movie is ever going to come out now? I'm sure it will, but
yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, that's more or less all I had to talk about.
Stubble, it's good to see you. Always a pleasure. I love hearing from you on the John Campea Show. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and my short story, I sent it over a year ago. I hope the competition is...
It's still going, so yes.
Yeah.
We have it. It's going to be good.
Right.
Thank you, Stubble. By the way, Rob, I've always said Paul Dini and Bruce Timm should have the creative oversight of the DCU. Not that that's ever going to happen, but that would have been who I would have put in charge.
Yeah, they would have been good. The problem with them is that, they're not live action producers.
Yeah.
But
and they would never be appreciated in the way that you've always said about how the comic books are not appreciated or the novels are not appreciated when it comes to Star Trek and stuff like that. They would never appreciate the contributions of the folks behind animation.
No, because the people that work in live action poo-poo all that stuff. There's this ridiculous creative hierarchy in Hollywood. It's funny, if I ever drop it, Diane Duane, who is one of my favorite Star Trek novelists from back in the day, who actually did work on the first season of Next Generation, she talks about that tie-in novelizations are poo-pooed. But what's interesting and what I wish people, and now that they're to look at them dipping into the novels, the people that were writing Star Trek novels weren't doing it to make money. They were doing it because they loved Star Trek. So the best of the Star Trek novels are really, really, they're really good. And they tell great science fiction and great Star Trek stories. And a lot of the modern authors like David Mack, he was working as a consultant on Star Trek Prodigy. He also has a couple of writing credits on like Deep Space Nine. Like I would have put together a writing staff that was half Star Trek novelists. The problem is, unlike the days of yore, where on the original series, when Star Trek writers were they were science fiction novelists and playwrights, and they had written other television, they'd written movies, and they also were accomplished novelists. They were all around they were great writers. Well, science fiction is a literary genre. And unless you've really dealt with it in a literary fashion, you're never going to write a great science fiction story, because all you're going to be doing is copying other stuff that you've seen before, as opposed to grappling with new ideas and new thoughts. And I think that's what's really disappointing about modern Star Trek. I think the most to me is that the ideas are not unique. They're recycled from movies and television shows that the writers have already seen. And it's apparent. You can even pick out where they took things from what. And it's incredibly frustrating. Oh, well, I mean,
Lord and Miller had some interesting stuff to say about that whole idea of animation being kind of poo-pooed. There's a whole, there's a piece that came out recently. So that was very interesting too.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, this is a very American thing.
Yeah.
It's a very American thing to poo-poo animation, because there is a hierarchy, a creative hierarchy or creative prejudice, call it what you want, but it's definitely there, and it's kind of stupid. And you look at Japanese animation, a lot of the stuff that I've loved. I mean, you could look at it as like Evangelion. Oh, is that just a giant robot show? No. My favorite Japanese animated series of all time, Legends of the Galactic Heroes, is also one of the great televised space operas of all time that has two of the great characters in televised science fiction. Actually, the original was an original OVA series, but it's great, and very few people have seen it, which is sad.
All right, sorry to keep you waiting, Roger. It's your turn to come up. You should be able to unmute now, Roger.
Hello, Rob.
What's going on, Roger? How are you?
Hey, I really enjoyed watching your tour of the new casa there. It looks really grand.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's really nice. It's a little funky. What was really interesting about this place is that the real estate broker was not even going to show it to us, because the people trying to sell it in this area, there's a lot of these beautiful Victorian houses, and there's a lot of no one wanted this house. It was so weird. And when
it's unusual. Yeah.
And when Elizabeth and I saw it, we're like, oh yeah, no, this is the house that we want. And it's a mid-century house. It was built in 1949, and it was extended out, and it's funky. The house is funky. I love it. I mean, I just absolutely love it. The dogs love it. I mean, I feel like Gilbert comes up to me every day, every night after he's run around and hunt in the yard and all that. He's like, dude, woof, this is the best thing ever. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
On the doggy heaven.
He is in doggy heaven. But it was weird. I mean, it was weird to see that, you know, because now everybody wants stuff that's modern and all. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
You know, and it suits us, and it's big and roomy, and it's not, you know, this is a place I could see spending the rest of my life and enjoying myself. But yeah, it's great. It's
Yeah.
It's great. I love it. And I love even this garage. This garage is it's smaller than the old one, but it's got character.
Well, you talk about your garage. I know you said you're going to put the bookshelves everywhere, but I know some people that were thinking about painting that like the Emperor's throne room.
Yeah, the problem is, you know, you won't see the walls because they'll be almost all covered by shelves.
Bookshelves, I know.
Yeah, and I think that ultimately what this garage really needs is to be torn down and rebuilt. But I don't know if I'd ever do that. And it's going to need a new roof. But for me, I like it.
Well,
you know,
it doesn't rain in Southern California, right? Isn't that how the
but no, it does. But it'll be okay. I mean, but I just like it because it's a single room with that side room, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun too. And it's so quiet here, and because we used to live right off the freeway, you know, so it's amazing at night. You can't hear a thing here.
Oh, nice.
It's great.
I really enjoyed the argument or the conversation that went on about the DC search.
Yeah, I mean, John and I kind of got into it, but I think, you know, in a way we were kind of both right. I don't know if he was kind of getting what I was saying. But I like that conversation. I like that John and I can have. I mean, I thought that was a very substantive conversation we were having, and I really enjoyed it. You know, and afterwards we went out to lunch and we went and saw the new place. But you know, it's fun to. I think that's what people want. Like, it's not like, oh, this sucks. You know, and I really.
But I don't understand. You know, like, you know, watch the NFL. I know you watch the Seahawks.
Yep.
Whenever the best team wins the Super Bowl, all the other teams starts going after their assistant coaches.
Right.
So, I mean, what is wrong exactly with Luis Esposito and Victoria Alonso?
Well, I don't think anything is wrong with them. As a matter of fact, I think they're great. But I don't think that they would leave Feige. I mean, Feige.
Well, that's it. Maybe they did offer. Maybe they did talk to him, but maybe they don't. They didn't want to have anything to do with it. That could be it.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that they've got a really good thing going, and you know, Victoria. She was just given a promotion where she's basically running all of their visual effects.
Right.
And I mean, she's amazing. They have a great team there. The point for those of you who don't know, on the John Campea show yesterday, we got into a pretty long, protracted debate about this Variety article that dropped. That David Zaslav, the new head of Warner Brothers Discovery, the Discovery merger ended, so it's now Warner Brothers Discovery, was talking about. He was saying the same things everyone has always said about DC for the last 20 years. We need more integration. We need a vision. Everybody always says that. Problem is, at the corporate level, there are fiefdoms throughout. You've got the feature film side. Like, would you want the people that are making the Batman Arkham video games to have to deal with somebody on the film side? It would never work. You know, you want the people that are making the Arkham games, as long as they're great, to go out and make them. The problem is, and my point is that a guy like Kevin Feige, he came up the ranks. He was already a geek, but he worked on 14 Marvel movies before the MCU.
Right.
So he saw what worked. He saw what didn't work. He saw what directors were great to work with. He saw what directors didn't quite click with the material. He saw all of these things happen. And then, you know, with Avi Arad too, and when they started the MCU, they had a plan to start and build out and see if it could happen and make it work. That would never, there's nobody in Hollywood that has worked on, I mean, maybe you could say Chuck Roven, but Chuck Roven is a nuts and bolts physical producer. He can get the movies made, but he doesn't have any grand vision of DC's characters. And Kevin Feige does, and he also worked, no other producer in Hollywood, no one that's currently working today has worked on 14, somebody brought up David, I think it's Heyman, one of the producers of the Harry Potter movies. That was a good example, but that's Harry Potter, and they've done a great job with Harry Potter. By all, everyone says the new Fantastic Beasts movie is their favorite of those three, but they've made 8 Harry Potter movies and 11 movies total in that franchise. They're going to make more, but what they need is what they're looking for. We're going to have it. We need a business person to integrate all these things, because corporations think of these all as product, and they don't think, well, the product has to be really good. Well, what does that mean? Well, what does it mean to make a good Batman movie? Someone who graduated with a business degree from an Ivy League school, a master's degree in business, does not necessarily know what makes a great Batman movie. Yeah. And yet then they're put in charge of the studio and they get hired. But Kevin Feige is a guy whose job in life, he was literally trained to produce Marvel movies, 14 before the MCU. How many people have that kind of pedigree to produce one thing? I wish there was somebody who was able to do that with Star Trek, but there isn't. And what's interesting is a lot of these franchises like Doctor Who or Star Trek, people are trying to turn them into something else. Let's make Star Trek more like Star Wars. Well, then it's not Star Trek anymore. And they don't understand that Star Trek was always a niche thing. Well, the DC superheroes are, why is it, this is what I don't understand. Why is it that we over the last, we had 3 Christopher Nolan movies. We had 3 Batman movies under 3 Justice League movies under Zack Snyder. You had Man of Steel and Batman v Superman and the Justice League movie.
All the various versions.
All the versions of it. Now we've got a new Matt Reeves Batman. Where's Superman? Where's Superman?
Nowhere to be seen.
Where there hasn't been a Superman movie since 2013.
Yeah, John always talks about that he's the leader, he's the king of the DC characters, but
yeah, I mean, look, you know what? If somebody would put me in charge of Warner Brothers, you know what I would do right now? I would take the comic, the graphic novel, a Superman for All Seasons, which is a lyrical, heartfelt graphic novel. It's the last thing you would expect from a Superman movie. And I would make that movie for $75 million. I would do that.
Yep.
And to start out. And you know what? I would find a director that you wouldn't expect, because it leans into more of the lyrical, heartfelt idea of what Superman is. And it's more like the first half an hour of the Donner film with I would do that. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, well, Rob, that's not what we want. We want Superman and action and all that. I'm like, nope. You know what you want? What you want is a beautiful Superman movie. And if you could pull it off, you could pull off a beautiful Superman movie that was lyrical and emotional, and it would put a tear in your eye. Hey, who's to say with a $75 million budget, or let's bump it up to $100 million, depending on the effects. I mean, I would bring Henry Cavill back, and I would make a Superman for All Seasons. And try it. The problem with Superman movies is, who do you have be the villain? Zod again. Let's have Zod come back because he's
and that's the DC. They say they got all these adversaries, but it's always the Joker, Zod, Catwoman. So always, whenever they make a movie, like what's the Brainiac? I mean, that has always seemed like a very interesting foil for me. Why couldn't they try Brainiac in a Superman movie?
Oh, when I was working with Brian doing the Superman documentary over that summer, when Superman Returns had come out, I told him I laid out an entire story about Brainiac that was kind of inspired by the version from the animated series, and he actually really liked it. The problem was, who was I? I was Brian's documentarian and an old friend. So it was actually a really good story, if I do say so myself. And it would have been a great Superman story.
Thank you so much, Roger. we've got the Funko Master General himself, Tom Jr. Jackson, coming up. Hello, Tom. You should be able to unmute now.
Hello.
What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, Rob?
It's going well.
Yeah. Sorry about that picture last night.
I loved it. No, I thought it was hilarious. You don't have to apologize. It was awesome.
I think you should, at the end of your shows, you should put that graphic up. Thanks for watching.
I agree. I you know what? I think I'm going to do that, actually. I love that.
Yeah. So the other day, you and John were talking about some Marvel movie, Moon Knight. There's the Moon Knight thing.
Yes.
And how John didn't know how far back it went. And I posted on Twitter to you both that it was as far back as Guardians of the Galaxy that they have been trying to
yeah, when they were going to try and make a Moon Knight movie. Yeah.
Right. And so I posted that to you guys. And just yesterday, the author of the Story of Marvel book, that big 2-volume thing, answered it and backed me up, said, yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, and I'm curious because, you know, I was alluding to this on the show, but, you know, people are asking, where does Mjolnir come back from? Because obviously Hela blew up Thor's hammer. Well, you know who put Thor's hammer back together in the Marvel universe? Moon Knight. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like I said I wouldn't be surprised. Now, by the way, I have no knowledge of any of this, but I'm just assuming that Taika Waititi would be the guy to go. As a matter of fact, I'll see if I can find it and put it in the live chat.
Oh yeah, and Mikey Lito, I have about 89 Funko Pops, as you asked.
Here is the here. I'm going to put this in the message. Here's the link to where Moon Knight talks about where Mjolnir came from. So it would be interesting to see if they go that route.
Yeah,
I mean, I could see them doing it. I mean, I don't know if they will, but it'd be cool if they did.
Yeah, I went and saw Fantastic Beasts yesterday.
And how was it?
It's a good movie. It's not great, but it's a good movie. I had fun watching it. It's very much. I can see they're trying to. I think the main goal of all this is to link it up with Harry Potter at some point.
Yeah, of course.
So that's where it will all go. But it was kind of weird after all the Ezra Miller stuff that came out. It's kind of weird watching him up on the screen because that's all I could think.
Yeah.
It took me out of the movie a bit. But yeah, it was like a giant. I want to say like a puzzle almost, because it was a heist in a way, because they were trying to stop Mads Mikkelsen, who was great in the movie. It's really good.
Right.
But I enjoyed that. When I was at the movies yesterday, I saw a giant standee. I think that's what you call them, the cardboard standees for Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, dude, I can't wait.
Yeah, I think I read they're gonna show it at CinemaCon.
Yeah,
so I think CinemaCon.
We will be there.
And I think also Cannes.
Yeah, they're showing it at Cannes. I mean, it's only been done for 87 years, so it's about time that we get to see it.
Yeah, and I think that woman from Titanic's going to come out. It's been 89 years. Here's the movie. So, yeah, I recently got American Fires.
Yeah, I got that as well. I got that in Fandango.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Uh-oh,
I
my
like
dog.
American.
Should I let my dogs in here?
They're not gonna. Yeah, why not? I mean, it's not like they're gonna do something.
Oh, I don't know. You never know. They might. They very well might. Here, I will open the door for them. Oh.
Here's the portion of the show where it turns into Blair Witch Project, everybody.
I know, right?
So like, we know you're in there. I enjoyed that tour of the house and the grounds of your compound.
Of course, why the door is not opening now, I don't know. Hold on. There we go. It's stuck. And Tallulah is now joining the party. She doesn't know where to go because there's so much stuff on the floor. All right, welcome to the Burnett doodle, or actually, Tallulah's an Irish doodle, right, Tallulah? There you go. Ah. See, look, you're on camera right there. Look at that. So, oh, yeah, Tallulah's. Hello.
And I pre-ordered Moonfall.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy that.
Yeah, it comes out the 26th.
Yes.
Yeah. So other than that, everything's going good. My
How you feeling?
sugar's going good. I'm feeling good. I mean, I had 1 or 2 days where the blood sugar was going up, but I got it back down. I got it down to 130 today, which is really good. For the first time in a while that's happened. So next month I go to meet with the diabetic doctor. No, the nurse. I see the diabetic doctor in August. And then in July I go for my cataract surgery, which will be fun.
Wow.
And I'm definitely gonna have I'm like, here's my phone. I'm gonna have him take a little video and I'm gonna start making references to what is it, Clockwork Orange. And then I'll send it to you. I'm like, here we go.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Other than that, everything's going good. I'm excited for Doctor Strange, and I'm enjoying Moon Knight. And in October is coming out. They're coming out with the Godfather Funko Pop.
Are they really?
Yeah, and he's in it's Marlon Brando. He's sitting in the chair and he's got the cat.
Nice.
I saw
That's
that.
awesome.
I think I sent you a link for it, and I'm like, yeah, he's gonna get it. It has a chair.
I will have to. I get occasionally. I get Funko Pops, but I don't usually get them. But I'll get that one. I have a
It
few.
comes out in October. Yeah. But other than that, I'm doing well. I was in I'm part of a Gilbert Godfrey podcast group.
Oh, right.
And I was saying, well, we should do a Zoom chat like once a week or once a month. And I mentioned how I would do it. And sometimes like you would pop up in it. And someone went, wait, he did what? I said, he did Free Enterprise. I had about 7 people. Oh my God, I love Free Enterprise. Yeah. So and people were going nuts over that.
I've got to figure out a way. We got 2 dogs in here now.
He's got to get it out. He's got to get it out somehow. I'm like, it's a process, my friends.
Gilbert doesn't know which way to go.
Yeah.
Here, there's now 2 dogs in here, so it's Doodle Mania up in this hizzle.
So how long is it going to take you to get all that set up?
The rest of my life. No. Thanks a lot, Gilbert. Here, let me move this over here. Gilbert's figured out a way to go. No, come around this. Oh, he can't. Here.
Is that a Hot Toys Jabba?
It's a sideshow. It's a sideshow Jabba. Here's Gilbert. Gilbert is of course, Burnett doodle, right, buddy? They used to be a part of the show. They're going to be part of the show now again because
I forgot to mention you. They make leashes that you can tie around you.
Oh, I don't know how they would pull me over.
They make leashes that put around you so that you can walk and do your thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, that would you want me to do that? I don't know. This guy, this guy's the king, by the way, aren't you? Aren't you the king? Yeesh. I love this guy. He's the oldest. He's 4.5.
So what's tonight? Is it Midnight Musings or is it?
I don't think I'm going to be able to do a show tonight. Couldn't. She's got a thing she's got to do. Lael could do it, but I don't know if I'll be back in time, because this today and tomorrow are the last days I can deal with the moving issue. So yeah.
Well, there you go, people in the YouTube chat. There's the answer to your questions.
Oh yes.
Someone was asking us.
But starting hopefully on Tuesday, I'm going to be back up and broadcasting. I'll have this. At least I'll have my desk set up, and some of it'll be acceptable to broadcast from, which is good.
Thank you so much, Tom. Great to check in with you. We have Norwegian Kryptonian sent 55 knock, saying Robert Meyer Burnett should lead DC Studios. Sign on, you crazy diamonds.
The problem with that is I just don't have the credibility to be able to produce $200 million movies. And that's the real key, is being able to not just know the material, it's to be able to know how to oversee that kind of money. And I mean, I always appreciate it when people say that I should run these studios, but I unfortunately just don't have the experience or the skill set that I would need to understand. Gilbert, don't do that. You're going to pull out a wire. To understand how to do all of those things. I mean, I understand how to do them. I've just not done them at that level. And that's what Kevin Feige has that a lot of these people don't, is that he worked on 14 Marvel projects in a producerial capacity, working his way up, understanding how these things got made. And that's when I was talking on the John Campea show, that's what I was really referring to, is that there are very few people in the business that have that kind of experience. I mean, his job in life is to produce Marvel product. And he call it an apprentice, 14 films. And when I was saying on John's show that there's no one else in Hollywood like that to assume the mantle of DC, and it's not just that he's a producer, but he's also, a lifelong aficionado of this material. So he was able to learn both the business side and he understood the creative side, and he was forged working at Richard Donner's. I believe he was Lauren Schuler Donner's assistant for a while. When she was obviously producing the X-Men movies, and then he got an associate producer credit on, I believe, X-Men 1. So there's no one that has that kind of experience. And that's what I meant and that's why he's singularly unique in Hollywood. And all of that experience had paid off, because look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And people could talk about whether they liked Eternals or whether Black Widow came too late or whatever. But those, you can't necessarily look at those as indicative of things because of the pandemic and all that. And look, I like Eternals. It was a different kind of a movie, and that kind of risk taking is part of what Kevin Feige's been doing. And you can't argue with success. People would say, you want to be, Rob, Spider-Man No Way Home is actually a Sony film. Well, it is, but it's with Marvel's influence, and we'll see. I mean, it looks to me like Doctor Strange is going to be huge. Are you excited, Gilbert, for Doctor Strange? You know what he's looking at? My SWAC props Hellraiser Lament configuration. I don't want to let him open up the Lament configuration box. Can you imagine if Gilbert summoned the Cenobites? You can't do that, buddy. I wouldn't like that. That would be not good. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to summon Cenobites, do you?
Terrier might like that. So we've got Terrier coming up next, Rob.
All right.
Howdy.
Hello. How's Norway, dude?
It's Easter, so every good conscious Norwegian is skiing at their cabin. I'm very un-Norwegian, so I don't like that. So I've been enjoying a week by myself. The kids are with their grandparents doing exactly that, skiing at the cabin. I have been enjoying a week of very loud movies.
And what is the loudest?
Pacific Rim.
Oh, dude. Oh, how much do we love that movie?
A lot. The thing is, I rent a part
lot.
of a.
That's the correct answer.
I rent a part of a house, and my landlord is at his cabin this whole week. So that means that I get to be very improper with the volume on the Atmos.
And that's the way to be.
Yeah, I had exclusively been watching loud movies this week, and I do believe the 4K with the Atmos sound of Pacific Rim takes the winning place.
The soundtrack is unbelievable.
I get chills when you get that gypsy danger theme going.
Oh yeah.
And it has an incredibly high bitrate.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. That disc is amazing.
It is amazing. And I've also this week with watching very loud movies come to the realization that streaming sound really isn't good at all.
No, it's terrible.
It's
terrible.
It's like all the. Why do they do? Well, I guess it's because you don't have internet available to handle so much data.
Right.
It's like all the sounds are there, but there's no dynamics.
No, it's like listening to an MP3.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, you want a reason why I love physical media. It's for that reason.
Because I watched all 3 prequel Star Wars movies in preparation for Obi-Wan, of course. Been a long time since I've seen them, so I watched them on Disney Plus because I only have the Blu-rays and I wanted to watch them in 4K and with Atmos. But I really think I would think I'd have a better experience just popping in the Blu-rays.
Oh yeah, or the 4K discs.
Yeah, if I can't buy everything on 4K.
I think I'm actually, one of the things I want to do in here is I want to put a TV in here and put in a rockin' Atmos system because I can. Because I don't have to be beholden to anybody. I can just be like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. The TV's gonna go right there because I've got a roof, a wood roof that I can bolt the Atmos speakers to.
Yeah, you can do circular ones.
Yeah, just boom. That's what I think. That's what I'm gonna do. It is, yeah.
So other loud movies I watched No Time to Die on physical media.
Nice.
I saw. What else? Well, I saw the 3 Star Wars movies. I know I saw more than this. I saw. Oh, it slips my mind, but whatever. I've been doing well. I saw Picard. I saw it loud, but that didn't seem to help.
Is that it's in Atmos, isn't it? Isn't Picard?
No,
Atmos?
only 5.1 surround sound. It's not
really
not even in 4K.
Wow.
So it just sucks. I did get in the mail though through 2 very nice 3D print things that I got someone to make for me. Just out of the ordinary, not a 6 scale figure. We got this. This is from a movie about some sandworms.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that from Tremors?
Yes, it's a graboid.
Yes, Gilbert.
And it has.
No, what did you just eat? Gilbert just ate something in here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's not good. Oh well. I hope it wasn't something I needed. That's a really cool graboid. Is it coming out of the ground? Or is it just
coming out of the ground, and it's
cool.
just a head, and it has holes in it. So you're supposed to put it on the wall, and it's a key hanger.
Oh, that's awesome!
So you can hang your jangly keys on this one.
I need something like that in here. That's absolutely what I need.
And I spoke about this movie last time I was on here. I got a 3D print of the spaceship from Star Chaser: The Legend of Orin.
Nice. Are you going to paint it?
I have no skills whatsoever on the painting thing. I painted miniatures when I was in like middle school, but that's a long time ago. So I think it'll look better just as a gray model for now, unless I find someone who can paint it for me.
Right.
And I had 2 figures in the mail from Toys Wonderland. David Bowie is on his way.
Oh yeah, you know, I ordered those too. And did you? I got Bowie and I got why am I drawing a blank on his name? Because he's not called that. I can't believe it.
It's called an Iron Curtain.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Why am I drawing a blank on his name? But yes, the Bowie figures with 2 head sculpts.
Yeah, singing and still.
Yeah.
And I also got on the way the 6th scale Agent 47.
Oh, nice. Hitman.
Have to have that.
Yeah,
Love
that's a
those.
good figure too. That's
what's your favorite loud movie? When you think almost just about
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Wonder if
Apocalypse
that
Now
has
is
a good soundtrack on 4K.
well, the sound design just unbelievable. The attack on the beach, the village, the attack on the village on the helicopters. It's the sound design in that sequence. I mean, even the beginning, if you have a decent sound system and the Doors, the end starts playing, you hear the helicopters and it goes all around you. You know, you hear it's like, it's low. It's amazing. The sound design in that film, I mean, Walter Murch, it's amazing. But in terms of Gladiator, I love watching the opening battle of Germania as loud as possible. Like when you hear the catapults firing the burning oil, I mean, you can hear the catapults go right through the surrounds. It's incredible. Incredible. Love it.
Yeah, I must say I do love having a home cinema system.
Oh yeah.
I can use it when my landlord is home, but I have to just keep it kind of civil, I guess.
That's a good word. Civil. I have to keep my home theater civil.
I must have it under control.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing.
And it's just want to say hi and talk about
Bob
loud movies.
Marley. Bob Marley. I
course.
ordered the Bob Marley and the David Bowie to go with my band.
I know Bowie is going to be my first musician I'm going to have in this collection. I know you have several others.
I'm excited because I've never opened my Elvis. So on my 6th scale band, and I've got a very special figure coming of my, let's just call him my very favorite musician of all time. One of
Prince.
30 that were ever made. I'm not saying whether or not that's true or not.
Okay, my wish for the next musician having a 6th scale figure, Leonard Cohen.
Oh, yeah. So my band will be Hendrix, John Lennon, Prince, Bowie, Bob Marley, Elvis, Freddie Mercury, and I'm going to get Zeb from La La Land playing the piano because he comes with the piano. So that's my 6th scale band. So there you go. But yeah, that's great. So has your Bowie shipped?
No, it says they've created a shipping label, but it hasn't been picked up yet, and I think that's because it happened just before Easter.
Right. Of course.
So I think like early next week they'll get it actually on the way, and it will probably arrive like late next week.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I love that.
You gotta love Bowie, or you don't love music.
Oh, I know. You do. You absolutely have to love Bowie, and I'm very excited about that.
Very glad I got to see him live once.
I saw him on the Glass Spider tour and on the Let's Dance tour. So, seen him twice.
Thank you so much, Terry. We do have
Ishmael, the man who makes the greatest cookies in the known universe.
If you want, right before Ishmael, I'm just going to show up that we have another super chart for Richard K, 4.49 pounds. Could we get a sequel to the Henry Cavill Immortals movie?
I don't know, but I like that movie. Come here, buddy. I like that movie a lot.
Ishmael, you should be able to unmute now.
Yep. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. How's it going, man?
All right. Good. Oh, good. So I got an over and under for you. What's got over and under 75% that George R.R. Martin ever finishes a Game of Thrones book? I don't think. I don't think he's going to.
I think, you know what, I hope Springs Eternal. I would like to see him finish. He has two, doesn't he have to finish Winds of Winter and one other book?
Yeah, I haven't read any of the books, but I'm just saying because I think that he's so traumatized over how bad the series ended that it just, took him out of wanting to write.
Gilbert's stuck. Well, he's also got House of the Dragon coming out. So,
yeah,
that's kind of interesting. Come here, buddy. You come here. Come on, Gil. But so I think he's going to finish. Do you think he's going to finish, Gilbert? I think George R.R. Martin's going to finish The Winds of Winter and
Right.
Okay. Oh, good boy. But I hope he finishes. I'd like to. I've only read the first book when it first came out
because I want to know how it's really supposed to end. That Game of Thrones was so unsatisfying. I can't even go back and watch them.
It was totally unsatisfying. Totally unsatisfying.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Want to come through here? Gilbert's stuck, and he's stuck in you're a prisoner of the phantom zone that is the observatory. You can't go anywhere.
Yeah, John praises the writing on that series on the last season, but I'm sorry, that writing was terrible. It was terrible, and it was such a slap in the face to all of us fans because the story had such a nice build up, and nothing got really. Everything was just like rushed and just thrown together. What was the purpose of the Night King all that time we were waiting for this epic battle, and they finished it in one episode, and then
what was he trying to do? What was the point?
Yeah,
like what did he want?
There was no real. They didn't go into any real depth. Oh, he was after Brandon. What? Come on.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. You can go right through here.
And then they just gave him he's the new king of the Seven Kingdoms or whatever. Except he lets his sister go and be on her own.
Right.
Which would never happen because if they did that, all the other kingdoms would be like, well, wait, I don't want to be a part of this either.
Well, no, it was completely a complete disappointment on every level.
Yeah, and there's no way Jon Snow lived. There's no way he lived because Grey Worm would have killed him once he found that he killed Daenerys. There's no way he would have locked him up.
Oh, I agree. And Bran would never have been king.
Yeah, there's no way. So yeah, I don't know. I think John's trolling us.
Well, and the idea that here's another thing I didn't like about it. Just because was it Aegon who went crazy? Just because one of the Targaryens was a mad king doesn't mean that Daenerys. I mean, her whole journey was that she was learning the ins and outs of politics and how to rule and all this other stuff. I mean, to just have her go crazy. First of all, to not have her and Cersei Lannister have a confrontation, like to have some. Like, how do you not do that?
Terrible.
How do you not do that? And, and the end of Jaime and Cersei was the lamest shit ever.
Yeah, well, think about it. The whole last season, Cersei never left the castle.
Never. She just sat in her balcony and drank wine. Did nothing. Yeah, I mean, it should have been the ultimate battle of these two women characters that had learned. I mean, in a way, it's Cersei. I always saw Cersei Lannister as Michael Corleone in Godfather 2, and Daenerys was Vito Corleone from Godfather 1. Whereas the whole thing about Cersei Lannister is that she had lost her heart and lost her soul, and she was completely corrupted. Whereas Daenerys was somebody that came from corruption, her brother and all that, and was passed around, and she had to rise up and learn humility and learn how to be a queen and learn how to rule and learn what mattered, and she had to go through this entire journey, and the two of them should have had some conflagration, and you should have seen what would have happened. Would someone who had lost their soul prove to be stronger than, because at the end of Godfather 2, Michael is ruthless and he's killed all of his enemies, but he killed his brother and he's left soulless, you know, and Cersei Lannister is a woman that had her soul torn from her because of the world that she lived in, and she did everything she could to survive, but it had no comment with the building fall. There was no commentary there. What was the point of Cersei Lannister's journey in that show? I mean, we know she was an evil see you next Tuesday, but there was no satisfying resolution to this character that we've been following for 8 years. And the same was true of Daenerys. Yeah. Like, I just don't believe watching her journey, whether she was dealing with slavers or whatever, that she would at the end of the day just go crazy in an afternoon and decide to kill a bunch of civilians. Like, why would she do that?
That's what it was. It was too quick. Like, it didn't make any sense. She had already won. She had, you know, she won already. And then she just said, you know what? I'm burning everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, and that is not good storytelling. You know, they didn't lead up to that. There was no, I mean, you saw the only reason that anybody, well, her ancestor, one of her ancestors went nuts. Yeah. But it was very,
I don't know where everybody gets this idea that only Targaryens can ride dragons. Because it never said specifically that only the Targaryen bloodline rode dragons. It never said that in the story once. But everybody just assumes, oh, you got to be Targaryen blood to ride the dragon.
Right. Well, they had some kind of a bond. I mean, somehow.
Yeah, but I'm sure there was other people too that could have rode them. It never said specifically that they were the only ones.
No, that is true.
Actually, I wanted to see Tyrion jump on one of them and ride it. I
wanted to see Tyrion, Jon, and Daenerys, but then one of the dragons got killed, so that couldn't happen.
Yeah, that was so awesome though, that scene when that dragon died. The first one when it died, it was awesome, but the second one was just silly.
It was silly.
It totally got it got hit by 2 arrows that were flung from a boat that was behind rock.
Yeah, no, that was all just all. The writing of that show, the 8th and to a certain extent the 7th season, like, I knew we were in real trouble when they were on that little island or outcropping surrounded by the army of the dead. Yeah. And one guy runs and sends a crow, and the crow had to have flown almost 1,000 miles to Dragonstone. It leaves its message,
like
and then she flies back. I mean, it took Robert Baratheon a month to go to King's Landing, from King's Landing to Winterfell. A month. They were on the road for a month. And you know, our characters got saved in basically an afternoon.
Yeah,
I mean, they did such a good job. And it's like, look, here's the problem that I have with this kind of writing. You know, if you do that, you know, you've compromised your entire show.
Yeah. I'm telling you, they went off when they ran out of source material. That's when the show started. You can start seeing that they started going downhill after that.
Yep, totally agree.
And John just doesn't want to believe that. And I'm telling him, like, those guys are terrible writers. I haven't seen them do anything good since.
No, I mean, they had that. They were going to do that show about the Civil War never ending, and then they were going to do. Actually, they're involved with something now that I can't wait to see. And they're adapting a 3-volume, I believe it's a Hugo-winning science fiction series by a Chinese writer, the same guy who wrote the novel that The Wandering Earth was based on. And it's called The Three-Body Problem.
Yep.
And it's an amazing series. So I recommend that to everyone. That's why I'm betting off. are working on now.
Well, we'll see how they do on that one because they messed up Game of Thrones for me. I'm not even excited for the new series.
Yeah, I know. They're gonna have to come a long way to get their audience back.
I'm gonna have to, somebody's gonna have to. I don't think I'll watch the first episode. Somebody's gonna have to tell me that it's good before I can go invest my time into it.
I don't disagree with you.
Yep. But yeah, the house looks good, Rob. I like it.
Yeah, it's funky. It's cool. I mean, it's funny. The house we were living in Pasadena, we could never afford to get that house. And this house is much bigger and has more land. Of course, it's an hour east.
Well, Ishmael, thank you so much. We're going to jump to our next speaker.
By the way, Ishmael, we got to publish, if you can still hear it, you can still hear me. We've got to publish your cookie recipe on the Post Geek Singularity website. I got to tell you, his cookies, man, those cookies that he makes, I've never smoked crack, but I imagine if there's crack in cookies, man, his cookies, you put them anywhere. He makes them. If you put them down anywhere and there's another human being within vicinity, those cookies are gone.
You'll need to start a recipe section of the webpage.
Why not?
PGS members can share their recipes. So, all right, Kevin, you should be able to unmute now.
Hey, Rob, how you doing, man?
How are you, Kevin? What's up?
I'm well. Hey, first, just wanted to congratulate you on the house.
Thank you.
I think home ownership is kind of underrated, man, because it's one of those things you could take pride into something, and you can, depending on your owners of the house, you could do whatever you want with your house. You can make the studio any which way you want. You don't have to get permission.
Well, what's interesting is, we, in a way, we didn't really have a choice because I live with Elizabeth and her two daughters, and we started looking to rent a house that's comparable to the house that we were in. Mm-hmm. And rental prices have skyrocketed. To find a house that was comparable to the house we were living in, it was like $5,000 a month.
Yeah, rental costs are almost more expensive here than actually paying a mortgage.
That's exactly what happened. And
we're right on the water. We're pretty close, and we bought a crappy house and we gutted it and redid it. So
where are you at? Where are you at?
So if you know where San Luis Obispo are, we're due west in a little town called Los Osos.
Yeah, I love it up there.
It's great. It's a little rainy today, but we get all the marine layers. So if it's really warm inland, it's pretty cold here. So we're a little
we were kind of forced to do that, and it was IRAs were emptied and.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, to get the putting together the down payment wasn't easy.
Yeah, that's always tough.
But I mean, the rent, when I looked at how much I paid for rent in the last 5 years, I was just like, that the rent payments alone would have gone a long way toward, especially anywhere else in the country, you could have bought a house.
California's insane, but it's hard to, we live in a little bubble here. So we're not very political. So it's like, no, I'm good. We like it here.
Well, you live in the Central Coast is absolutely gorgeous.
It's great. Yeah, it's super nice. So
are you close to Pismo Beach?
Yeah, so we're considered the North Coast, and then we have a nuclear power plant that basically separates us from Pismo Beach and the South Coast.
Right.
And actually, that land where the nuclear power plant is, it's some of the most gorgeous land. If you can see an aerial view, but you can't get to it, obviously they mark it all off. It's one of those that they're trying to close down right now. So
yeah.
But there's a lot to that, but. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, so don't kick me off, but I've never been much of a Star Trek fan.
That's okay.
Just never been. I when I was young, I wasn't into science fiction, to be honest with you. I steered more towards Star Wars because I like the action. I love that kind of stuff, the space fantasy. So everything that I know of Star Trek is basically from you or listening to your diatribes. It's awesome. Right. I love it. But I did want to ask, and we don't have to go too much, but why do you still watch? If it's giving you such a heartache.
I'll tell you, it's funny because a lot of people ask that, and I can explain. So Star Trek has been with me my whole life.
Right.
Like when I started watching it when I was 5 years old, and there was only the original series. And then there was the animated series that was made by the people that made the original series. Gene Roddenberry was a producer. A lot of the writers who wrote on the original 3 seasons wrote for the animated series. So there was actually new stories with Kirk, Spock, and McCoy being made for the 1973 and 74. Then the movie came out, Star Trek the Motion Picture. And one of the things about Star Trek fandom was there was a lot of books that came out that were blueprints of the ships, and there was a lot of fandom that was writing articles and things that would fill in the blanks to sort of add to the lore or draw connections. So as I was growing up, it was almost like this alternate universe in my life that was real. And then in '79, Star Trek the Motion Picture came out. And in the original Star Trek series, Star Trek was unique in that it had 2 pilots. The first pilot, called The Cage, was rejected by the network. The Cage is where Captain Pike was introduced and that crew. Well, what they did in the first season of Star Trek was they used that pilot in a 2-part episode, and they repurposed it. And they basically said that pilot episode was the Enterprise 11 years before we were seeing it now. So by doing that, they gave the Enterprise a whole history. Spock was on the Enterprise with a different captain than Captain Kirk. So suddenly, as somebody who was young, a kid, learning about science fiction, you had this rich show that had a history. Like it was a fictional history of the future, but there were things like you could glom onto, like, oh my God, like the Enterprise, Kirk wasn't the first captain. It was first captain by, well, it was Pike as far as we knew, but then it was Robert April. We found out was even before that, because he was in the animated series, The Counterclock Incident. So they were adding this mythology that was growing all the time. And then there were novels and there was comics. And then Star Trek the Motion Picture came out in 1979, which took place years later. So now you had the 5-year mission of the Enterprise, which if you include the animated series, 5 years. And then you had 11 years before that, you had Pike on the Enterprise. And then 5 years after that, you had Star Trek the Motion Picture. So you're now looking at a decade of time, or 2 decades, 20 years, or maybe 25 years, depending on who you talk to, of this fictional universe it kept being added to. And then the movies kept going on, Star Trek 2, Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4, Star Trek 5. And the fact that our characters are now moving into middle age were incorporated into that mythology along with everything else. Then in '87, Star Trek The Next Generation started, which is about 80 plus years away from the original series. So now you have this it's the same reason that Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or anything that has a lot of lore is appealing, because now you've got this whole living, breathing, alternate universe with a history that you can study, that you can read about, that people talk about, they argue over. And then you had Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager, and Star Trek Enterprise. And so from 1966 to 2005, there was all of this Star Trek that was all in the same continuum, but it was growing and changing and showing you things and characters that you'd never seen before. It was all new. Well, this was it was also the time when I was a kid and grew into adulthood and into middle age. And that's what Star Trek was to me. It was this kind of fictional world I could always revisit that grew and changed with me. Then in 2009, the idea came along to reboot Star Trek. Star Trek had become too convoluted. It had an aging fan base. We're going to take this and we're going to make it for a new audience. And then they went back and J.J. Abrams did Star Trek 09, which basically is a dumbed down version of Star Trek that also tries to be more Star Wars and space fantasy than Star Trek ever did, in order to try and capture a new fan base. Well, I would argue and say it failed. There is no new fan base for you don't see action figures for the characters in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. They tried to make them, no one bought them.
Well, that's what that kind of leads me to my next question, and this doesn't just have to pertain to Star Trek, but has any of, like, say, writers, producers, anybody from all of those 40 years of novels old films, TV shows, have they ever said anything and said, hey, look, this stuff that you're putting out is not what the original vision was of this? Is it just kind of professional courtesy, or is it they have NDAs?
No, I think it is. I think there is, like, people within the industry don't criticize other people within the industry. Is certainly.
Why not? If something sucks and they can see that it's just not doing very well. Well, I mean, what would they rather have? Do they just want it to go away? Because eventually you're going to lose everybody.
No, I think that's where Star Trek is at right now. I think that if you look at the actual, they won't release numbers, but if you look at there's a couple of, like, Midnight's Edge, the channel did a really interesting analysis of the box office of the new Star Trek movies.
Mhm.
People say, well, Rob, Star Trek 09 made more money than any of the Star Trek movies before. Yeah, but it cost $250 million to make and market.
But it's not leaving an impression, though.
No, it's not.
None of these, they're not. I mean, even the sequels in the Star Wars, they're not really leaving an impression. In 10 years, most of these people probably will not talk about those.
No, you're absolutely right. They haven't left an impression because the stories that they're telling,
they stink,
are counterfeit. Yeah, they're what they've done. The Disney, the J.J. Abrams sequel trilogy there's nothing new or unique or original. They just replay beats. And it's so interesting because at the same time, we have such rich programming elsewhere, whether it was modern Battlestar Galactica, whether it was The Expanse based on a series of novels, whether it's another show like Succession or Severance. There's so much great storytelling going on. But the problem is the people they hire to make these, whether it's Doctor Who, whether it's Star Trek, all these people want to try and turn these things into their own. Like Alex Kurtzman and Secret Hideout have flat out said that they're using Star Trek to deliver a message. Their message of inclusion or identity politics or whatever. But the question that I have is, why are you qualified to do that? Who are you? I mean, a great story has a message built into its DNA. And you don't have to force, and I think that there's a fundamental, people think that, yes, Star Trek was so progressive no, Star Trek is an allegorical action adventure science fiction television show. It had inclusion and diversity and all those things built into it because it took place in a post-scarcity future where humanity had become better off. It was a utopian civilization. But it still told great action adventure science fiction stories. What modern Star Trek has forgotten to do is tell great science fiction action adventure stories. Everything, I mean, if you look at everything that goes on in these, they spend so much time messaging, whether it's about same-sex relationships, and I'm all about that. Star Trek has always depicted that. Modern Star Trek always had, but you got to do it in a science fiction way. You got to do it in an allegorical manner. When you have a character from the 32nd century tell another character, a gay character, that you need to address me by my pronouns. 1,000 years from now, I mean, it's 1,000 years from now, humanity, assuming we survive, is going to look very different than the humanity that we have today. And what they should be doing is extrapolating on that. What's going to happen when humanity is able to turn back our life clocks and we can live 300, 400, 500, 600, 700 years? If we could do that, how would humanity change? And wouldn't it be interesting to look at mankind now, extrapolating our technology? Where would we be 1,000 years in the future? Where we would be, according to Star Trek Discovery, is right back where we started from, right here. The characters of the 32nd century in Star Trek Discovery are also characters that feel of the 21st century. It is incredibly unimaginative. And that's what I hate about modern Star Trek. The people that are writing it, there's a fundamental lack of imagination on display in every episode of modern Star Trek. And when they mine their Star Trek concepts, like the Borg Queen, they could make a Borg Queen really interesting. She's the most basic mustache twirling villain I've ever seen. It's like, why you have all of this rich mythology and history. I would love it if the writers on Star Trek would say, okay, let's have an entire writers meeting for an entire day about the Borg. What are they? Where do they come from? Let's postulate, why would a Borg queen want anything? Like when you say that I want to rebuild my empire, that means that she has ambition, and why would she? She's part of this collective. The collective's programming was to assimilate all these things. She doesn't have her own agenda, but no, they've turned her into her. She does now, and it doesn't make any sense. So when you look at this, it's like read a science fiction novel. There's no great science fiction concepts in modern Star Trek. In the 4th season of Discovery, they ripped off things like Arrival, Denis Villeneuve's Arrival. And it's just frustrating. Drives me crazy.
Rob, it's kind of ironic that they got David Cronenberg to act in their show, and now with Crimes of the Future coming out, you think you bring him as a consultant to think about those future questions as opposed to just having him do a bit part in your show.
I mean, Crimes of the Future has more interesting science fiction concepts in it. Mm-hmm. The idea that humanity is evolving, and we're suddenly evolving organs that we don't know what they are, and we're having to live in an environment that's so toxic. How do we evolve to then live in a toxic environment? But you're right. You're absolutely right. Of course, that would presuppose anybody who works on Star Trek has actually watched David Cronenberg's movies.
Right. Hey, I'm gonna let Mexican Iron Man jump in ahead just because he has to leave, and he's gonna just jump in for 5 minutes to say his comments.
What's up, man? If it wasn't for Mexican Iron Man, I wouldn't be sitting here in this new observatory.
Uh-oh, now I'm getting embarrassed. Oops. Shh.
Yeah, I know.
Hashtag confidential client stuff, but it's funny.
I won't say a word.
Well, it's already out. You said on Midnight Sedge on the show, but listen, I just want to tell you congratulations on the house. I don't know if I'm more proud of you that you got that deal done. I'm honored that I got to help you get that deal done, but I'm also looking forward to, as a huge fan of yours, to visiting you because, as you know, you're down the street from Mom's house.
I know, so, and you are welcome anytime.
She's right at the 210, right there in Redlands. I think I'm like she's like 5 exits away from you. I'll be at your house in like 10 minutes when I come out this summer. And I'm going to come visit you.
So the 210, where on the 210 is she off? What exit?
Okay, so right where the 210 hits hits the 15.
Yep.
The next, there's a big Walmart there. Where the 210 just plows through the 15 near University Avenue. It's right there, right on University Avenue. She's right off University.
Here, by the way, here is Sebastian.
Oh, so cute.
Sebastian is a purebred standard poodle.
Oh, so cute.
He is 12 weeks old.
So cute. So cute.
So that's doodle mania right now here, people.
And when
doodle
I come out,
mania.
I know you got a lot of moving to do, but when I come out, I'll be out there probably in about a month and a half, 2 months. I definitely want to come visit you. And I'm really excited about the build out. I think great things.
Oh, that's a whole nother thing that I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that. And again, there's a ton of SBA money out there, and there's a lot of for what you want to do. There's plenty of financing out there we can get. And tax season's over for me next week, so
yeah,
I'm gonna have a lot more time. But congratulations, brother. I'm gonna sign off because I got a Zoom call with the client in 20 minutes. Just want to say congratulations, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Good job.
Well, thanks for the help, man.
Anytime.
Thank you so much, Mexican Iron Man. Great to see you.
Oh, Tolulas.
And we are gonna have Joseph Michael come in here. Let me, Joseph. You should be able to unmute now, Joseph.
Hey, Rob.
How's it going, man?
Doing well. I got some merch. Animation is cinema.
I love that.
Yeah, it's available on TeePublic. In fact, if you search. If you just type in animation is cinema on TeePublic, this is one of the first things that will come up. I will put a link in the chat as well as in the comments section on on YouTube.
Nice.
And, I just want to say I really appreciate John Campy bringing that up. that article last
Oh
week.
yeah.
You know, I think it's great. I think animation definitely needs to be taken more seriously because, and you know, I would really, but I would also really like to see, you know, is, you know, a lot when I was growing up, there were a lot of animated features that were being made that were kind of grandiose and a little more self-serious, like Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Lion King, and,
right? Yeah,
and since and especially since Easter, the Passover Easter season is coming up, The Prince of Egypt.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I would love to see more of those, and I think, and because I think it would further peel away that stigma that animation is just for children. I not that we don't see that already, but I'm talking about like mainstream animation.
Yes, absolutely.
You
I
know,
agree.
We really need.
Well, especially in this
produce more
country.
of that.
I mean, we see that in other
Exactly. And I'm really hoping, and that's what I'm hoping. That's one of my biggest hopes for Lightyear and Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
Across Spider-Verse Part 1 and 2.
100%. I totally agree that I can't wait to see Lightyear. It looks amazing.
Yeah, and also Turning Red will also be coming out on physical media.
Yes.
And so I actually have a binder. I have several binders, but this is my binder that has like all the Pixar Blu-rays. So
nice.
4K. You know, there's 20 for this binder has the first 24 of them up until Luca, which kind of got a gimped Blu-ray release because it had barely any special features, only one disc and one audio commentary.
Sure.
And this is my brand new binder for the newest for the Pixar features, and Turning Red will be the first one in it.
Oh, nice. And Lightyear will be the second.
Yep. And so with Turning Red, I really, what I think is really great is that this time they're including a second disc with bonus features and audio commentary. They did not do that with Luca.
No, and thank God that they're doing that because you know,
it was just go ahead.
They used to be the gold standard of special features.
Yeah, and the home video release. The home video release of Luca is the first one to not have an audio commentary at all.
Yeah, I mean that's not. It's terrible.
Yeah, but thankfully they're doing it with Turning Red, and I think that's personally, I think this treatment that Turning Red is getting versus Luca, I think it speaks a lot to Domi Shi's position within Pixar. Personally,
yeah, I agree.
No, and I think she got promoted.
Oh, hang on a second. I have to. Elizabeth she probably does not know I have the puppy and she's freaking out. Hang on a second. Yeah, let me just tell her. Hold on. Let me call her back. Because she doesn't know that I'm out here. So you'll hear this conversation. If I have any bars. But yeah, I mean, she has a big position in
yeah, and the current chief creative officer, Doctor, had kind of nurtured that talent, and I personally think she's being groomed, not sexually, of course, but groomed to take over at some point. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Domishi is running Pixar within the next 10 to 15 years.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Hang on a second. Okay. Yes, so Elizabeth now knows.
Wonderful.
But I think that might happen. I mean, again, I don't know what the politics. I don't know as much about Pixar as I do about other places. But yeah, I think it makes sense. So,
and but any
here, you want to come in and say hello? Oh, well, here. Well, you can say from the distance. Peek your.
Hey there.
Elizabeth says hello. We're gonna do whining about movies again.
Wonderful.
Go.
So,
Okay. Yeah, but can you shut the door? I let him in. Yeah, just shut the door. Thanks. Now.
So, how much? Depending on how much time we have left, would you be able to? Did you work on the DVDs? The DVDs for Fantasia and Fantasia.
Yeah.
Johnson?
Yes, I worked on the Fantasia anthology.
Yep.
I worked on, and that was the very first major studio home video project I worked on for the same team that worked on Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
And I did the piece on that disc on Herman Schulteis, who he did the visual effects. It was really interesting. So a lot of people don't know that animation, especially back in like the 40s, did make use of a lot of physical effects because it was rotoscoped. So, you know, they would make mechanical devices to make snowflakes and things like that. And there was this is actually really interesting. There was a guy named Herman Schulteis who worked for Disney and worked extensively on creating visual effects, the technology that they would then later animate for Fantasia. And he documented everything meticulously in a book. Well, Herman Schulteis disappeared in South America and he was never heard from again. And when his wife, I want to say when his wife died or they were going through his house, they found the book of Herman Schulteis's, of his meticulous notes and how everything was done for Fantasia. And after they found that book, it was an incredible feat. It was to understand how a lot of stuff was done. Now, when I worked on Fantasia, I did a piece specifically on Herman Schulteis and that book and the effects of Fantasia and how they were done. Because people are like, oh, it was just all drawn. But there was a lot of physical effects that they used. It was drawn over, but they were that Schulteis had figured out. I mean, everything with lenses and how to create all this stuff. And what was unfortunate is that all of the special features that we made early on for Disney were all done in standard definition because there was no HD. So when they re-released Fantasia on Blu-ray, none of the special features that we had created were used. And it was incredibly disappointing. So the special features that we worked on for months sort of were lost to history. And they were updated. I mean, I have a copy of the Fantasia anthology that I have all the stuff for it.
As do I.
I have my own work. I should probably upload it to YouTube, but it always gets copyright strikes. And that's an incredibly frustrating thing to do, is to work on a lot of these. Like I did these documentaries for The Usual Suspects back in 2002, and they were never put on Blu-ray. And it's incredibly frustrating. So.
Yeah, but there was a new release of Fantasia and Fantasia 2000 on Blu-ray, and some of the older features might be in it.
Yeah, I don't think mine wasn't. They put something else.
Well, I don't remember there being a documentary of Herman Schulteis on the DVDs, but I remember there was one on the Blu-ray edition.
Yeah, and that wasn't the one I did.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that. I don't remember seeing that one. They might have taken that out.
Yep. Unfortunately,
because I bought Fantasia 2000 and the original Fantasia on DVD when I was about 11 years old.
Yeah.
But I did not get the third disc until much later.
Yeah, it was in the anthology.
Yeah, but I didn't see that documentary there either.
Mm.
Maybe I'll have to look.
It was a bummer.
Thank you, Joseph. Great to see you today.
Thank you.
Going to go ahead and pass it on to Ricky Burnett. By the way, before I get Ricky started, do you need to get a chair, Rob? If people are commenting that it feels like you might need to.
No, I mean, I just am running out of time.
Oh, you're running out of time. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have about we have 4 more people. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Okay.
I'm also running out of power.
Oh, no. All right.
My computer is running out of power.
Let's get Ricky up and running here. Ricky, you should be able to unmute.
Nice
Hey,
shirt.
Rob.
Nice shirt, Ricky.
Thanks. You know, the Observatory is starting to look like my den.
Well, I promise the next time you see it, it will look very different. Nice. Did you get that this week?
Yeah, I pre-ordered it.
Nice.
You know, one of the things I'm redoing my den also, and I got lighting. It's LED lighting that looks 4 foot long.
Yeah.
But they got remote control.
Yeah, I love that. That's the best. I'm gonna do that here too.
And I really enjoyed your back and forth with John Campia the other day about
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers in DC.
Yeah.
But today we're not going to talk about Star Trek. No, I want to talk about Moon Knight.
Oh, okay. Absolute. What do you think?
Oh, his acting and his just fantastic.
Oh, it's amazing. He's amazing.
But then I just heard that they put it in for single season.
Yep. But that doesn't mean he's not coming back.
Okay.
Because WandaVision, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move this. WandaVision is a one and done show too, but then she got, Doctor Strange. So I think we might see Moon Knight again sooner than we might think.
Okay.
Like maybe even in Thor: Love and Thunder. Maybe.
What does an executive producer mean? Because I noticed that he's executive producer on Moon Knight.
Well, he probably got to be an executive producer to star in the show. Like one of his deal points was they make him an executive producer so he has a little bit of oversight into his own character. He gets paid for that. A lot of the time, stars will demand that, and it'll be something they'll get as a perk. But sometimes, as an executive producer, he has input into the show itself. So I think because of his stature in the industry, he was able to get that as a deal point.
Okay.
Which is good. I mean, normally an executive producer on a film is somebody that has something to do with putting together the deal, either getting talent, especially getting money. Sometimes it's given away as a kind of just a way to appease people, like money people. But it's with actors, because you're getting them to be in that show, then they get that executive producer credit as a perk.
Cool.
Yeah. So
that's all. Make it short. Just you got to go. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Moonlight.
It's so good. I can't wait to see where it's going to go. I have theories, but I'm not quite sure where it's going to go yet.
Yeah, and the only other show that I'm really enjoying is Halo.
Yeah, is that good? I haven't watched it yet.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's new.
Right. Right. It is new. It's probably doing better on Star Trek better on Paramount Plus than Star Trek is.
Definitely.
For sure.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let you go so you can.
Thank you, Ricky. Good to see you.
It's good to hear from you, Ricky. And I like your merch, your choice of
Thanks.
merch.
Oh, always.
By the way, I get Paramount Plus for free, and the only show I'm looking at is Halo right now. So,
do you like it?
I like it. I mean, I know nothing of it, right? So I've heard from people that it's not at all aligned to the lore in the games. So I mean, as far as what I'm seeing, it's entertaining. I like a lot of the visual effects and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I think I wouldn't put it in the same caliber as as The Expanse or
right.
For All Mankind and stuff like that. But I'm enjoying it. So
that's good.
All right. We've got Kelvin coming in. Kelvin, you should be able to unmute now.
Waiting patiently.
Hi.
What's up, man?
I'm hardly had any sleep. I woke up at 4 a.m. for this morning.
You've been here for 3 hours.
And now it's 6:49 a.m. Now I want to be going.
But you will soon.
I will soon, yes. Anyway, I really enjoyed your little show around your property the other day.
Oh, thank you.
Because in a way, it actually made me imagine what California is like, because the sun was shining. You've got a pool, which I thought was some sort of prerequisite to live in California.
I've never like I used to, my housemate, I lived in this girl's house for a while, and she had a pool. There's a lot of pools here, and like our pool doesn't have a heater or anything in it, because why heat it unless you want to swim in the winter. But it's a simple pool, but it's nice to have a pool. It's kind of cool.
Oh, that's all right. Anyway, one thing I wanted to, because I was upset. Well, I'm not upset. I was somewhat disappointed for you that you didn't get your Harry Palmer.
Man, I was bummed out. I'll have to buy it on the secondary market.
I've sent it to you. I've sent you one.
You have?
Yes, I have.
How come they ran out of them? I prepaid for it.
I think the problem with,
first of all, you are a prince. You're a prince among lesser mortals. Have you watched any of it?
No, not yet. It's actually still not unbroken.
Because I love $1 Billion Brain.
Really? I always thought that was the weakest one.
It is. It absolutely is. But I always loved it.
Because it's almost like they're molding it to James Bond towards the end.
Yeah. No, they totally are.
Yeah. But no, what happened was that Amazon Australia actually had a Schnäppchen sale of $47 half price.
Oh my God. Because those imprint discs are expensive.
I've just actually, while I was on this stream, I've just pre-ordered for the Wicker Man to come next week.
I can't get it. I can't wait to get that disc.
I know. I was like, oh, geez, man. I was thinking about it. My birthday's coming up, and I've already told some people. Oh, there's a couple of things I should get, like Conquest of Space.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's funny. This is probably a terrible thing to do, but I threw my Conquest of Space DVD away when I was moving. I just threw it away because I'm like, what do I need this for? I have the Blu-ray.
That's right.
I know it's worth what, $2 or something, and who's going to buy it? Nobody's going to want it. So I threw it away because I'm moving. I have to be ruthless.
Well, I'm sort of a bit like that, really. I mean, I've got 8,500 discs.
Oh my God. You know what? I'm going to move from this position so I can get power so it doesn't die.
That's what we don't have to keel over. Run out of energy.
Let's see.
But no, I mean, funnily enough, I had some health issues about 4 years ago now, I suppose. Diagnosed with epilepsy, and sort of when you get these things, it's suddenly you realise you just want to get rid of stuff.
Right. Because living is more important.
That's right. But by the same token, you end up replacing things that you were buying other stuff. But, I noticed your eagle moss, so I actually went and grabbed this just to
Is that eagle moss or is that the?
No, this was the Matchbox.
Yeah, that's
30 years ago.
Yeah, that's nice.
I actually got the entire Tracy Island set floating.
Yeah,
around.
I was just gonna ask you, do you have the Tracy Island set?
It was very hard to get, apparently. I didn't realize this until some people I know were doing a stream locally about Julie Anderson.
Yeah.
And they're going, oh yeah, well, this was really hard to get. And
Jerry Anderson.
and of course, it was his birthday this last week.
Yeah.
So, and so I thought, oh, just glad that. And I don't know whether this is one show that has been made by Stephen LaViere. Generally a documentary, run some documentaries about Jerry Anderson.
Yeah.
And this show, he actually made all of the episodes using old, like Thunderbird's puppets in his own. It's called Nebula 75, but basically it's a bit like Stingray and Fireball XL5.
Yep.
And he actually just made it in his apartment during lockdown.
Wow, I got to get that.
Yeah, it's just
I've seen clips of that.
Right. Anyway, they've made the second series. What happened was that they actually were bought. They sold it to like might have been Amazon or somebody, Netflix or something like that. They had sold it to somebody. So, but they're actually still producing the second season on physical disc, which I'm really impressed upon. And but I wanted to actually have a quick chat because about this thing here, Halloween Kills. I actually watched my 4K last night.
What did you think?
It was all over the place.
Yeah.
I really thought the writing was pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whoever they got to do Michael Myers just didn't have the right look at
No, I was not a fan of the 2018 Halloween. I just, I think Halloween was the first movie I ever owned on pre-recorded cassette.
I know you mentioned this a few times.
Yeah, I say it all the time, but it really was. I watched that movie 100 times, and I'm not a fan of the modern. There's just, it's funny when you go back and you watch. Halloween was such a product of the time it was made, and if you watch it now, it's almost like a kids movie. It's so quaint, but it's really beautifully shot, and it's really effective, and it's simple.
The Dean Cundy cinematography is just beautiful.
Yeah, Dean Cundy's widescreen lensing. I mean, that's what gave Carpenter's movies. When Gary Kibbe took over, it was never the same. I mean, Dean Cundy was so great with Carpenter's work, and that using the Panavision, the frame, and also all that floating. It was pre-Steadicam, and so the way they floated the camera, it was just beautifully done, and its simplicity. The problem is, this modern sensibility, when you suddenly have a lot of money and you're shooting it like a traditional movie is made today, it kind of stripped out what was fun. Even Rick Rosenthal's Halloween 2 from 81, even that, because Cundy shot that as well. And it was still a lot of fun because it still had that simplicity, but watching it now, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Well, how old would Michael Myers be now? It's like making that modern Leatherface movie. Well, it's a continuation. So Michael Myers is like 68. Like, really? He's gonna go, come on, man.
And I just couldn't believe how they could make the same mistake as in Halloween 2, where you have Laurie Strode trapped in a hospital for the entire movie.
I don't know either.
But yeah, I mean, the third one when it comes along, I think it's just.
Yeah, well, Halloween ends, thank God.
Until I start something else.
Right.
I'm sure they'll. No.
I mean, the thing is, what are they going to remake in 20 years? It's like we got another Scream. It's what I find so interesting is part of the problem, I think, with all of modern entertainment. Actually, the world. Like, I believe in capitalism. I'm a capitalist. But, no one ever got really rich in Hollywood following a trend. You get rich in Hollywood setting a trend. And now all we're getting is remakes of things from different bygone eras. And the problem is the DNA of all those things belong to different generations.
And
So
when look good and
there's no like, I would much rather see a modern horror film with modern sensibilities of like, even look, I'm an old man, but I like teen movies. I like watching teenage films. Where's all of our modern modern teenage movies? Like I saw the Rebel Wilson comedy senior year. I saw a trailer for that. There was some really funny stuff in that, because if you're going to make movies like this, especially horror films with teenagers in them or whatever, you got to make them with a sensibility now. And I feel like when you're watching Michael Myers walk around, I'm like watching some old dude from the 70s stalk modern teenagers, and the teenagers should be able to use all kinds of technology to dispatch. So it just doesn't work for me. I mean, I'd much rather see a modern horror film where, like, I want to make I have an idea for a horror film where I want to make a movie about a satanic cult in a high school, where these teenagers they're really good at it. They use the internet to get all the research done, and they form a satanic cult, and of course they bite off more than they could chew. But I want to make it hard hitting, in your face. I want to take all these social media. It was kind of like in Leatherface, when the new version of Texas Chainsaw. I love the one scene when they're all trying to film Leatherface and he just kills all of them. Like, and the whole point of the underlying thematic structure of this movie is that these kids actually think, because they've been grown up navel gazing with social media at the center of their own reality shows, they think they're in control of this situation. And when they literally conjure up the devil, they realize they're not. and nothing they know about the modern age will save them. And I want to make that movie, because kids today need horror films that belong to them. You know, they're going back and they're seeing they don't even want to use numbers anymore. It's gone from Halloween to Rob Zombie's Halloween to now the new Blumhouse Halloween. Like, my God, it's so depressing to think that horror films used to be, you know, for young people to have. It was almost like rock and roll or punk rock, and now it's not. Oh, here, let's give you a hand-me-down from another generation's horror icon. I mean, Scream's what, 25 years old? And yet, well, we have to make, it's too hard to come up with a new interesting idea that reflects the modern. I mean, horror is always about the malaise or the feelings of today. It's reflected through a lens. I mean, the Vietnam era films with like Night of the Living Dead and Texas Chainsaw and Hills Have Eyes and all that. You watch those movies and they have a savagery in them that people can't even believe today. Now everyone's snarky and disrespectful. But I mean, I think we need, what's the modern equivalent of a Texas Chainsaw? What's the modern equivalent of Halloween or Hills Have Eyes or something? All that stuff's been remade ad infinitum, you know, whatever. But where's I want to see a new modern horror visionary. And we've seen a few. You know, there's been some good horror films that have come out, you know, and I want to see more of that. But hey, Halloween makes money, so let's make another one.
Thank you, Kelvin. Rob, we have a new PGS hero, David Crabtree. Wanted to just acknowledge that.
First of all, I got to say, David is a longtime viewer of the channel, longtime imagination connoisseur. He's been working on his own comics, kind of a Transformers-inspired mech saga that I've loved watching him post. And he also did some great fan art of John Campea and myself. So, David Crabtree, thanks for becoming a member.
And we have just a quick question on the chat from Kevin. If you have had a chance to watch a TV show, Minx, on HBO Max.
I watched the first episode. I loved it. Minx is great. I mean, the first episode was great. There's HBO Max between Winning Time and Minx. I'm going to catch up with all of I'm 2 episodes behind on Winning Time. I've seen the first 3. There's so much good stuff out. I love it.
All right, and we've got now. Sorry, we're getting some spam ads coming up in the chat here, but we got the great Fernando Borrero coming up.
Fernando Borrero.
How are you?
How are you, Fernando? First of all, you know what I got to ask first. How's your mom?
She's doing great.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you. It's so funny. The other day, I'll tell you a quick story about mom. So I showed her because I had sent you a question regarding Will Smith and the 10-year ban, and you were nice enough to respond. And I showed my mom the clip, right? Because she's becoming a fan of yours.
Oh.
So she was very curious to know, because now when we bring up topics, sometimes she asks me, what does Robert think? You know? Because you're now on a first name basis.
Well, I will always call your mom Mrs. Borrero.
Thank you. So I showed her the clip, and she wanted to basically go out of the screen and kiss you because she was totally in sync. She goes, that's why Robert's my friend. And I said, wait a minute, he was my friend first.
I can be everyone's friend.
That's right. Absolutely. I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
I love that.
Absolutely. I love Winning Time, by the way.
It's so good.
I love.
By the way, I heard that somebody told me that there's a clip where Magic Johnson, they're trying to get him to buy into Nike.
Yes.
You know, and then they cut to some shot. Well, like he should have, because he would have made billions of dollars by now.
Yeah.
I think, I know people talk about the historical accuracy is a little fast and loose.
Right.
That movie is wildly entertaining.
It is.
It's wildly entertaining. And, you know, I'm not a huge sports fan, but I love movies and shows about sports.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Winning Time is right. I mean, I go back to like movies like North Dallas 40 and Slap Shot and these old movies from and Winning Time is like, it's The Big Short meets The Lakers. And
yeah. I even like the movie that everybody slammed on. I even liked On Any Given Sunday.
Dude,
I like that one.
I love We fight for every inch.
Yes.
I mean, it's got the great Pacino speech. I love Any Given Sunday.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
It is really,
and it's
really
good. Peak Oliver Stone.
Yes,
you know, doing what he did in The Doors, like using all of his crazy camera techniques. And I mean, when he intercuts footage of like football from the 30s.
Right.
You know, and all the different.
Was it true that the NFL didn't let him use the real team logos? Is that true?
That's why you have like the Sharks. Yeah, all the logos are all made up. I mean, they're really so. Interestingly enough, Bryan Singer was directing a pilot called Football Wives. That was a remake of the British series Football Wives.
Yes.
And it was all NFL stuff. The reason it didn't get picked up is the NFL didn't want him to do it.
Oh,
you know, because they're very protective of their image.
Right.
And I understand that. I mean, they're a gigantic business and they make a lot of money, but you know, and that when you look at a lot of movies about football, there's not a lot of them that have real teams.
No.
Unless it's and you know, one of my favorite TV series of all time is Friday Night Lights, based on the movie. But I love that series because it's set in and around football, but it's really, you know, a story about growing up and about responsibility and about, to me, it's like Friday Night Lights is what I wish. To me, when I think about modern Star Trek, Friday Night Lights, I'm like, why can't we have a show that's like, and people are like, Rob, how does Friday Night Lights, how can it be Star Trek? And I'm like, if you could get the sensibility, the humanism, it's in Friday Night Lights with all the characters and the interplay. I mean, Coach Carter, the coach, he's Captain Kirk. I mean, you know, that's what I want to see.
Correct.
I want to see, you know, full hearts. You know, come on. But people think I'm crazy.
But no, not at all. You want the leader to be a strong leader that has all the answers.
And a compassionate human person.
Absolutely. Yes. Did you finish seeing Suspicion, by the way?
No. I
Okay.
stopped on episode 4, but you know what? I liked it, and I went and I was curious to see what the people hate. The reviews on that show, people savaged that show, and I
I'm
was
not gonna
enjoying
give it
it.
away, but I liked it. I just didn't like the ending.
Yeah, I could tell it was going to go somewhere where I didn't like, but
Yes. Yes.
but I did like the setup.
The
know,
setup was terrific because
Yeah.
it's right up my alley. It was a thriller. It was British, and I love British thrillers. So,
Yep,
yes,
me too.
absolutely. By the way, did you? I was on your. I understood your argument with John Campia the other day. And being, I was in management, in retail management for a long time. And one of the greatest things about my job was when I promoted people. But
Right.
I understood your point is you have to have somebody who can who's already somewhat proven themselves to be put in a position of responsibility.
Yes.
And no one has proven themselves. You know, I mean, I understand no one's been put in that level of responsibility, but you have to give me samples of what you've done that would give me an indication that you could run something of
Yes,
that magnitude.
100%. And the problem
And
is
that's what I took from your argument, and that's why I was on your side on that argument.
Yeah, because the thing is, you have two fundamental differences happening. All the people at the studios, the gatekeepers,
Yes.
none of them are filmmakers.
Right.
They're all Ivy League educated business people that look great as a corporate hire. They're great. They know their business acumen. But the thing is, and they can sell their product, but these people have to decide which storytellers and which artists are going to make these stories. And they themselves, it's not like you have, maybe David Zaslav has read every single DC comic. You know, maybe he's read very well versed in all of the major DC storylines, whether it's Identity Crisis or whether it's Final Crisis or Infinite Crisis or Crisis on Infinite Earths. If he could sit there and opine about all those things, I'd say, great, David. So you could then weigh in on the kind of movies that you want to make. He doesn't know shit about that.
Right.
And so the thing about Kevin Feige is Kevin Feige learned how to produce movies. He learned how to navigate. Producing movies it's a combination of crisis management, public relations, and logistics. You know, you need to know all those things.
Yeah.
And those are very different. And then at the same time, you then also have to know story and you have to know character. And then in addition to that, you also have to know how to deal or speak truth to power. There's so many different skill sets that's involved.
Yes. And have an overall vision at the same time.
And have an overall vision at the same time. There are very few people in the history of Hollywood that have ever been that person.
Right.
And that's the problem. And you can't just go, like when David Zaslav he's thinking about these products, he's thinking about DC Comics as a product to sell, or the DC Pantheon as a product to sell.
Yes.
Problem is, the DC characters exist in many different places. The video game Batman is different than the movie Batman, is different than the animated series Batman. And if you want somebody like, we're going to integrate them all, it's like, no. You need to make Batman exist in the animated world the best he can. Then you have to go get people that know how to make video games, like the Arkham games, and put Batman there.
Yes.
If someone who's trying to integrate all this is going to fail because you can't integrate it all. A video game is its own thing. You have to make a great video game. You can't just make a Batman video game.
Right.
You have to make a great video game that's also a Batman game. It's not a Batman game first. It's a great video game first. Just like with the movie. You've got to make a great movie first. And then it can be a Batman movie or a Superman movie. Because a great movie is a great movie. You know, it's not like you sit there and go, well, you know, it was I always say that the Star Wars prequel trilogy are bad movies, but good Star Wars. You don't want that. You want people to just say they're great movies. And great movies can be thrillers, they can be comic book films, they can be sci-fi. Like when I look at Avengers Infinity War and Endgame together, to me, you know, people can nitpick and have problems, but overall, in terms of fantasy cinema, those two movies, and yes, of course, they had a lot, but those two movies are wildly entertaining from a character standpoint, a plot standpoint, wildly entertaining.
And not to mention the pressure that was on because everybody had high expectations, and you know, to meet those expectations, 10 years worth on top of all that.
It was, I mean, that alone, there is no one that could have shepherded that into existence other than Kevin Feige, because he had 14 other movies before the MCU, learning what worked and what didn't. He saw how to work with people. He saw who to go after. He learned that you didn't have to go find some A-list director. What you needed to find is a director who has a vision that can make a movie. Because essentially when you're making, it doesn't matter whether you're making a $3 million movie or a $200 million movie. If you're a director that understands how to direct films, and that in itself is a skill set. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with actors, you're dealing with all these different things, but you're essentially telling a story. And what Marvel has done, Marvel has the whole infrastructure to take care of the action sequences, to take care of the visual effects. That's why Kevin Feige can go to a guy like James Gunn and go, you've directed 2 movies I liked, Super and Slither. Really good. Love your sensibility. We think you'd be perfect for Guardians of the Galaxy. We've got your safety net. We'll take care. I mean, we want you to direct everything, of course, and especially the actors, bring your sensibility, but you don't have to worry. We don't have to worry that you're not going to know how to manage a special effects sequence. We've got you. What we need is your sensibility and your storytelling ability. That's what Marvel has that no one else has ever had in the history of Hollywood. And that's why it works differently. It's a synergistic relationship. And if you're a director that can work underneath them, great. Warner Brothers doesn't have that. Warner Brothers doesn't have they expect, you know, oh, David Ayer is going to direct Suicide Squad. The studio sees it and they're like, Batman v Superman wasn't as good. We don't know. What are we going to do? Let's recut it like a trailer, and your vision's too dark. This is problematic. This is bad business. And this is why Warner Brothers couldn't get their act together, because they would hire creatives and these executives would cross their fingers hoping it was going to work out. And then something like Batman v Superman would underperform. Everyone's scared of their jobs. There's the AT&T merger. Kevin Tsujihara is screwing around with other young girls, whatever's going on there. By the way, all that happened for real. I'm not making it up. And then where's the movie? It's second guessed to death. So anyway, Kent Davis has been working, has been waiting.
He has
for a
been.
long time.
Just wanted to shout out a super chat from Jay Bling asking if you can do a observations on erotic thrillers. I'll leave that up to you, Rob.
I would love to do a observations on erotic thrillers.
And Kevin, you should be able to. I'm sorry, Kent, you should be able to
That's all
unmute
right.
now.
People mess that up all the time. I actually have an identical twin brother, so I'm used to getting mixed up all the time. His name is Kirk. My name is Kent. We just call us twin. But yeah, Rob, I just want to say, hey, thanks for that tour the other day. It's really cool because it kind of makes the whole observatory and what you're doing more relatable. I mean, I can see where you are. I can see where you're hanging out. And you say you're going to let the dogs out. I know where the dogs are running around.
Yeah.
All that other good stuff. So that's cool. And I'm a dog guy. So when I'm looking at the dogs there, I'm like, oh man, I want to play.
Oh, our dogs are really sweet too. And Sebastian, the new 12-week-old puppy, is so smart. And so what I really like about this here is at our old place, you know, Gilbert, we lived on a busy street. And we always had to keep the dogs away because they always wanted to run outside. There's so much places for them to roam here. And then for the observatory, I've got a back door. So there's enough land that we don't have to worry about them getting out front or running away. So now I can just, when I do shows, I can leave. Because when I first started doing this, I was in my laundry room and the dogs would come up all the time during the shows. They would jump up on me or whatever. But now that I can have a door here, they can come and go as they please. And I'll have a couch and they can just jump up and hang out because they're kind of part of the show. And they haven't been for the last couple of years.
Yeah,
But-
I kind of missed that. I mean, like I said, I'm a dog guy. Matter of fact, I had a dog most of my life, but now I work so far away from where I live, it's difficult to have a dog. So you kind of feel that little bit of dog taste that I need to get in my daily life when you did have the dogs there. So.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you'll see a lot more of them now. They're going to be back, and once I have this all filled up with lights, and because basically this will all be surrounded by shelves, and even the garage door that's here, that's going to be permanently shut. There's going to be shelves in front of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I've got the desk is going to go in the center. So I've got all this space around me that I can move around. So I'm not going to be butted up against the bookshelves. And I've got lights and stuff, more colored lights. It'll just look better.
Well, that's going to be part of the fun to see the evolution of how you pull things together. So that'll be part of the flavor of the show, I'm sure. But it's funny, there's, I'm a big Star Trek guy. So I don't want to, run the things down on the rims in respect to that subject, but you do help me out. It's kind of cathartic to hear your rants. I call them rants, but they're great. I'll tell you what, Rob, if you did that every day, I would leave. So I'm working from home. I would stop work to listen to you rant about Star Trek every day.
The funny thing to me is Star Trek is what led me to reading classic science fiction. Yeah. It led me to want to listen to classical music. It led me to want to read Shakespeare. Star Trek was something that was a gateway to the rest of the world, the rest of our rich history, to learn things. I mean, the same way that James Bond always knew how to serve champagne at the proper temperature, and I just don't see modern Star Trek making people, you hear so many people, I was inspired to become an engineer because of modern Star Trek. I don't see, or classic Star Trek. I don't know if that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I think that when people, to me, Star Trek was always about being better, to work harder. Aspirational. Now I feel that Star Trek is about telling everybody you're okay the way you are. And I don't believe that. I think that the human animal, we are, let's say, look, I do believe in life elsewhere, but our job is to know the universe. The universe doesn't have anybody or anything to recognize. The universe is this incredibly wondrous place. And I think part of what humanity is supposed to do is recognize the universe and figure out what is our place in it. Mm-hmm. This is just my own personal philosophy. And I feel that that's what Star Trek was all about. And I feel that we sort of lost that. Now Star Trek is all about its audience. It's all about the audience that remember this Star Trek guy, remember this, and then
member berries.
Yeah, the member berries, and then also it's expecting, it wants to serve the audience by, see, don't you recognize yourself in this character? Well, that's true of any good story. Mm-hmm. There's human truths in a character that we should recognize, but I don't need Mr. Spock to now have a learning disability to empathize with him. I empathize with him because he was a man of two worlds. He had parents. He had two different parents, two different species of parents, and that was enough.
He was a well fleshed out character.
Yes,
and
he was.
What was interesting, they gave that dichotomy to him, and then they delved into that subject matter, which made him interesting.
Yep.
I have these discussions with my friends about what the problem with Star Trek is nowadays. I mean, you have these people that don't have a real strong literary background, so they don't have anything to fall back upon. They don't know the classic type of storytelling. Not saying that that's the only way to do it, but it's a methodology. It's a method. It's a process you follow to develop characters that fit into a story, and that the character development creates the believable motivation.
Absolutely, and I feel that now Star Trek is being written by all of its writers in a shorthand. It's a TV writer's shorthand, and they run down. Okay, we're going to do some relationship drama here, and we're going to do this here. Whereas yes, every story has to come out of character, but you're just putting in generic TV tropes now and running through them in a Star Trek context, and a bad Star Trek context.
Well, Rob, I'll take exception to that. When you say Star Trek context, it's characters from the past with Star Trek references. That's the only context. There's no real developed context here.
No, you're right.
They're not.
You are right about that, and it bothers me.
You're just throwing Star Trek crap on the wall.
Well, and the fact
saying,
that
"Hey, look at this."
the fact that they go back and like in Strange New Worlds, you have Uhura, Mbenga, Nurse Chapel, Number One, and Pike. These are characters that were created by other people.
Right.
And they were portrayed in different shows that aren't yours. And what is the motivation behind a modern television creator when you have Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager? I mean, Voyager got a little tropey. It became the Star Trek show that was made up of other Star Trek shows. But look at TNG and look at Deep Space Nine. All brand new characters, all different situations, all fascinating. And modern Star Trek has just leaned heavily so we get to see Kirk, Spock, and McCoy again in 3 movies. Carl Urban is doing a great channeling of DeForest Kelley, but why not make new characters?
Create something original. I mean, so my thought is when you go to Hollywood to do something, you want to create something that's your own.
Yeah.
Be original. But these guys, these guys that are offshoots from Bad Robot, Secret Hideout, and you see it other places, other production houses. They're strictly about appropriation and making money, because you see Bad Robot doing this from franchise to franchise. And
well, I'll give you an example. A great example of that is, so Brian Fuller and Alex Kurtzman are co-credited with creating Star Trek Discovery. Look at the difference between Hannibal and Clarice. Brian Fuller goes and mines Thomas Harris's books, and we get Hannibal. Brian Fuller did something. He reimagined those books, reimagined that mythology we had seen filmed multiple times, and did something new with it. Turned it into some nightmarish hellscape. And flip the switch, flip the script, all kinds of different portrayals. And then Alex Kurtzman comes along and adapts Silence of the Lambs and does Clarice, but couldn't do Hannibal Lecter. And that show is not good.
Awful.
It was really bad. And to me, that's all you need to know. And which guy was deposed? I mean, look, I've never worked for Brian Fuller. I love Brian Fuller. The Star Trek poster is that Kirk poster right here. He gave me his Kirk, Spock, and McCoy posters, which are behind that poster. Those were hanging in the Discovery offices when he first started, and he gave them to me. So, and if I have the original outlines that he was going to follow, and they're a lot different, a lot more interesting. But to me, there's no greater comparison. You look at two guys, and basically Brian Fuller got ousted because CBS didn't necessarily understand how the Star Trek show is going to get made. Star Trek shows are very expensive up front because you have to build all the sets and make the costumes, and then you amortize the cost of those over the course of the series. And they didn't really get that. So it's the day that you came on and announced that Kurtzman had been re-upped for another 5 years was a dark day in my time. Well, Nicholas, when I covered Nicholas Meyer's 3-part SETI Alpha 5 miniseries, Nicholas Meyer was pissed that I did it. He was saying, well, maybe it'll still get made. I don't want you to poison the well. People who work on Star Trek are always calling me because I'm singing people's praises I think should be working on Star Trek. And I'm like, don't do that. I don't want to be. And I'm like, you know what? If those people are so petty that they're not going to hire you anyway. Why has Nicholas Meyer's SETI Alpha 5 miniseries not been made? Why? I mean, you got the guy who made Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 6, who wrote Star Trek 4, really, writing this Khan miniseries that, by the way, is great. It's great. It's really interesting and really well done. And it tells a phenomenal story. And I'm like, why the fuck aren't you making that? I mean, I don't know. Here are the scripts. They're right here. They're done. But no, we're getting this. We're getting Picard. You guys have decided to go back to the 2024. I mean, you have a litany of Star Trek episodes where they go back in time to the modern day, including Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, and you turn something out that's inferior to all of them.
It's unbelievable to me. How does that happen? And how do the writers let it happen? Because they don't know. They don't know why it's not good.
Thank you, Kent. By the way, Rob,
Good talking to you, Kent.
I think we've learned recently that it's not really Star Trek Picard. It's Star Trek Patrick Stewart, right?
Well, yeah, and that's another thing. That never works either.
No. Yeah. Rob, do you have time for two more?
Yeah,
RIT
let's do
and
two
Z
more.
and Rob
All right.
wanted to. We'll cut it off at Rob.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sounds great. So let me. Oops, sorry, I lost my mouse here. RRT, you should be able to jump in.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Cheers. Hi, Rob.
How are you, man?
Yes.
How's down under?
I'll show you.
Looks pretty lovely.
Sunny.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty sunny. It is mid-April, so it's autumn.
Right.
And, yeah, but it's quite a nice day today. We've had a few not so nice ones, but quite a nice day today. How's yourself? Place looks great.
Doing well. Yeah, we're getting there, slowly but surely. I get all my stuff on Monday so I can start putting it all back together.
Nice. I've only got a couple things for you, Rob, because I know you've been on for ages. The last week I told you a dog of 14 years passed away.
Yeah.
As a dog person yourself, I mean, you can appreciate that. So I thought I'd show you a photo of him.
Oh.
Yeah, Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, was he a golden retriever lab?
No, beagle. He's a beagle.
Oh, it was a beagle.
It's a bit hard to see in the photo.
He looks much bigger in that picture.
Yeah. He was quite large for a beagle, actually.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Yeah, so my wife's been devastated, and we made him a nice little grave just over there in the garden.
But he had a good life.
He had an amazing life. Yeah, because we can't have kids. He's our child, right? So he's yeah. My wife's still very upset, but he did have a fantastic life, and every time I start to feel sad, I think of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, but dog theme this week, great, but let's not dwell on the sad stuff. If we had more time, I had this urge to debate you on a TNG question, but I think that might take a few weeks. So I've got a quick one for you. You ready? You ready?
Yes, sir.
All righty. So you've got to go to the bunker or a desert island or somewhere to be away from the rest of humanity for an indefinite amount of time. You ready? All right. You can take with you 3 of the 5 following graphic novels. Which ones do you take and why? Your selection is Dark Phoenix Saga.
Okay.
Kingdom Come.
Okay.
Frank Miller's The Dark Knight.
Okay.
Alan Moore's Watchmen. And of course, Morrison's All-Star Superman. Which 3 do you take and why?
Okay. I'd have to take Watchmen because I love it and it's very dense and I've reread it over and over again and I never get tired of rereading it, even though it's dark and it does have my favorite climax of any comic book. My favorite reveal of any comic book is the end of issue 11.
11, yeah.
I'm not some Republic serial villain, Dan. Do you think I would explain my master stroke if there was any possible hope that you could affect its outcome? I did it 35 minutes ago. 35 minutes ago. And you turn the page and you just see Rorschach and Night Owl. It finally dawns on them what's happened and it just fades to white for the rest of the page. Yeah. I get chills. People will never understand unless they were there what it was like to read Watchmen as it was coming out. Because when I got to the end of that, reading it, because this was back, the comic renaissance, was happening. And I love that. They're both standing there. I don't think I've ever been so gobsmacked by the end of anything as I was by that. Because you just didn't, the double whammy when the plan is all revealed, and then when you realize he already did it and they can't stop it. And then you get the 12th issue was delayed when it originally came out. And I'll never forget standing in a comic book store. I'm like, I just open, and it's like 8 splash pages of just dead bodies in New York with blood. Everyone, like, holy shit, I love that. It was great. So I'd have to take Watchmen. I have to take Kingdom Come because as a DC fan, you know, I love the story. I love the artwork. It's so sprawling. You've got all the DC characters and all their progeny or whatever. I love Kingdom Come. And I think the X-Men Dark Phoenix saga, I mean, I love the X-Men, but it's just one story. And I do love it, but I think I'm going to put that one away. And I think I'm going to put All-Star Superman away too. And I'm going to take the Dark Knight Returns. Only because there's a reason that I keep coming back to those stories. You know, it's funny because I have the absolute versions of Kingdom Come, Watchmen, and Dark Knight Returns. So it's actually right over there. And I'd have to take those only because they're like comfort food. Also, they're long and dense. So if those are the only three that I have on a desert island, you know, I'll just keep returning to them over and over again. So I think that's it. That's my
Brilliant.
answer.
Thank you. Well, that yeah, I think I couldn't answer as clearly as you. I think for me, it'd be definitely Kingdom Come, definitely Dark Knight Returns. But I keep going back and forth on Watchmen versus Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, the X-Men were like Star Trek. The way I like Star Trek, I love the X-Men. And then, you know, it got to the point where I'd read so many, the X-Men stories kind of started to get repeated.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
And then I love Jonathan Hickman's insane take, the powers of X or the power of 10. And I just thought that was so out there and weird. And I'm like, oh, I don't think that, I don't know if I liked everywhere where it went, but it was talking about science fiction. You certainly took the X-Men in a very different direction. And I have to say, this whole Hellfire Club gala thing, I don't know why, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, the Hellfire Club was such a, I mean, right out of here, such an interesting, I mean, you think of today's sensibilities, and then this is like 1979, and the sort of quite kinky outfits they're wearing.
Oh yeah, I would have joined.
Amazing.
I mean, when I was reading the X-Men, I'm like, oh, I would have joined the Hellfire Club. I mean, they were having fun. Like,
God, were they
you know, I want to be the Black King. Why not?
God, yeah. Well, that's all for me this week, Rob.
Well, it's good to see you.
All the best for your place. Good to see you too, and all the best to the rest of PGS. You guys have a great day. Take care, my friends.
Thank you,
Here's a shot of
RRT.
the
Hey,
blue sky.
RRT, by the way, speaking of Alan Moore, I think the unsung hero of Alan Moore novels is his take on the Image Comics character Supreme. If you've never had a chance to look at that, Alan Moore's run of Supreme to me is one of it's an undiscovered gem by a lot of people. So
it's amazing he took a Rob Liefeld creation and Rob Liefeld let him do it.
And he turned it into something that, to me, it's like the ultimate expression of understanding the Superman archetype. It's amazing. It's
really good.
Basically the same thing he did with Swamp Thing, but with a Superman trope. So highly recommend it. Check it out. It's hard to find, but check it out.
But hang on, but does the character have feet?
Yes. Yeah. Liefeld, I don't think he illustrated it.
He didn't draw it.
He didn't draw it. Yeah. All right.
He's got feet.
See ya,
Take care, guys.
RRT.
See ya.
All right.
Cheers.
And to close us out, we've got Rob. Come on in, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
How's it going, Rob?
I'm a little bit nervous. This is my first time being here. Sorry,
welcome, first timer.
How you doing?
What do you have behind you in the cases? What am I looking at?
Nothing as impressive as your stuff. Just
wait, I gotta see because I want to see.
Hold on.
Now that I can see, now are those classic figures? Because you've got the early bird set there.
But that was when they remade it. It's
okay.
They're not impressive.
But still nicely displayed. Those are great displays. I like that.
I can kind of show you a little bit. Hold on. I don't know if you can see it better. And I got my DC up here.
Yeah.
And then we got Star Wars over here.
Yep.
I'm very bad at this. And then we got down there is Marvel and some of the
Nightmare Before Christmas. That's cool. What a cool eclectic mix of stuff. I love how they all go into that case. They all look like of a piece. Like they've looked like you've designed them. They all go together very well.
Yeah, it's me and my wife's shared thing.
It's
this
very
is my
cool.
whole. Down here is my whole. You'll appreciate this. my DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is a great physical media collection you have there.
Again, I'm like 1% of yours, but
no, it's look. I know people that have 10 times more than I do. It's just about having the things that you like.
Yeah. Well, I must say it's probably in our name, Rob.
It's true. Now, when you grew up, were you always a Rob, or did they call you? Because I was Bob when I was a kid.
No one has said that to me ever in my life. I was always Rob.
See, I was always Bob. I was Bobby Burnett. Then I was Bob Burnett. My mom still calls me Bob.
Yeah.
And when I went to college, because I lived in Washington State, I lived in the same house. And one of the things that I wanted to do when I moved to California, I was like, oh, this is going to be a fresh start. So I'm just going to start calling myself Robert because that was my name.
Yeah.
Nobody called me Robert. And I hated Rob. Everyone started calling me Rob. My Robert lasted about a week, and then I was Rob Burnett. That was it. I'm like, well, you got to allow things to evolve the way they evolve. You can't fight evolution.
That's true. Sorry, I won't say Rob. I'm pretty to me being Rob.
No, I'm Rob. I've been Rob. I'm Rob. It's so funny. My mom, she's like my friend Dave Hargrove, who I met first when I was at USC. He calls me Bob. And my mom calls me Bob, and my family calls me. No one else. It's all Rob.
Wow.
And or RMB. It's so funny because when I first got credited in a movie, I was just Robert Burnett, and then there were other Robert Burnetts. Like there was Rob Burnett who produced The Late Show with David Letterman.
Yep.
And so I was using my middle name to differentiate myself, because then on things like the IMDb. And then people are like, what do you think? You're Francis Ford Coppola? And I'm like, no, but I started getting professionally credited as Robert Meyer Burnett more out of necessity than anything else. And now I like RMB. Iron Man Mike, who was here, says RMB. I like that.
You suit though, like the whole name, because you have kind of this like distinguished, but not like off-putting kind of nature around you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean, the thing is, it basically is I get to channel my inner 12-year-old for the rest of my life. And I see that's fortunate. That's many people are like, I'm never going to have a midlife crisis, because in my mind, I'll never quite reach the midlife to have a crisis for.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I know that we're getting a bit late here, so I don't want to keep you. I just wanted to just say, hey, I'm a big fan of yours. I've always, weird thing. Before I even knew of you, I first saw you on Heroes.
Oh yeah. By the way, this week was my 7th anniversary.
I heard.
14th of April, man.
I watch you all the time. I watch you on John. I just watch you on Heroes and Collider. But back when I was in I think high school, I saw Free Enterprise on TV. And I loved it because that was during my Clerks years, where I was trying to loving the more frank guy speak and nerd stuff. And then when I saw you in Heroes and you said it, I'm like, I remember that movie. I remember that line from Shatner. It's always in my head where he's saying, God, now I'm nervous, but where he's like, friends, Romans, give me your money kind of thing. That line?
He says, friends, Romans, countrymen.
Yeah.
Give me your money.
Yeah.
That's what he says in the club at the Garden of Eden.
Exactly.
Hopefully, my goal this year is to get Free Enterprise remastered in 4K and get it out, because it's kind of a forgotten movie. Although somebody pointed out to me, Rob, you might not want to do that because you'll get canceled. Because the characters are one of them is very supportive of Woody Allen. There's Woody Allen jokes, and I'm still very supportive of Woody Allen as a filmmaker. I mean, he was exonerated by 2 states when they did investigations and all of that stuff. They've conflated what they think he did with the fact that he did not marry his adoptive daughter. Yeah. People think that he did. He did not. But there are many jokes in that movie that people would probably cancel us for today.
I guess.
Which I kind of like. That's kind of why I want to get it out in 4K.
But things kind of come back around again, things that were once kind of deemed, ooh, they're offensive. Now, at some point, this kind of over PC world will come back, and we'll have a little bit, because this kind of is what happened in the 80s too, where it was and then you had the D&D film. I was hearing your argument about how nostalgia is kind of weird right now. How there's no new horror movies, like we're kind of just rewatching the old ones. And I was thinking that same thing too, because you also gave me a great show to watch, For All Mankind, and I love the message about that. Like, what if America didn't land there first? Like, that would have made them kind of want it more and kept me. And I love that idea that, like, nowadays, I'm always saying this to my wife because now I'm hitting my late 30s and I'm like, I don't get these kids now, and I teach, so a lot of my students are younger.
What level do you teach?
Well, I teach art at a private school, all ages. So I have like 8-year-olds to 35-year-olds.
So should we be optimistic about the future? Because I try and stay optimistic about the future.
I'm trying to. My thing is, I haven't been around that long, but I don't remember being in high school, being their age, and not wanting, like, not looking ahead. I never wanted to just stay in there. I want kind of like, oh man, like, look at what they're doing, and the things were inspiring me. Like, even when I would see, like, my background is animation and movies, so during that time there was the CGI boom and all that.
Right.
And, wow, what's next? And that was the mindset. Like, how can they get better, and how can I be part of that?
Right.
And I find that nowadays they're just happy, kind of like just take it in and be part of like whatever's happening. Like, there's no like look ahead. It's all
I mean that's I always have looked ahead. I mean, we've watched in my lifetime. I've seen so many amazing. Like, I'll never forget the first time I went across the street and saw my friend Pete Chambers. He had an Apple IIc computer, and we started loading up games on a cassette tape that took an hour.
Yeah.
And to see that I'm talking to you right now on a laptop with a high resolution camera in it, wirelessly talking to people around the world, and to see that where we've come, it's astonishing. But now we have a long way to go. I mean, the James Webb Telescope, one of my most eagerly awaited things this year is to start seeing what images are going to come back to us from that James Webb Telescope, which is one of the most astonishing pieces of technology that humanity has ever built. And the fact that we can see almost to the edge of the universe, it's going to be crazy. I mean, I fully expect that telescope is going to find something one day that, like a Dyson sphere or something, and it's going to be like 100 million miles away. So there's no possible way we could either contact them, but to know it's there. What would happen to humanity if our James Webb Telescope shows us a thriving interstellar situation somewhere that we will not be able to get to with our current level of technology ever?
Yeah.
What would happen if we knew that there was a United Federation of Planets out there and we would watch it from afar? I mean, talk about FOMO. I mean,
I know, but like, would that even like, not that this is at all the same, but even last year when I watched Richard Branson go in space.
Yep.
No one cared. Like, around, and the whole thing went, whoa, some rich guy went, and I'm like, but look beyond that. Like, no one said that when Howard Hughes did it. Like, it's just like, now it's like, we need that mindset. Yes, I get they're rich, they can do more with it, I understand, but like, that's impressive. That's so fucking amazing. Like, don't you want to, like, one day say, I can go do a full orbit? Like, that's kind of badass.
You know what it is? Everybody thinks that they're equal. And now we've been sold this bill of goods, and part of what's going on politically is everyone, like, I have no problem understanding the fact that there are human beings on this planet that are more valuable to the continued existence of humankind than I am.
Yeah.
That and it should be that way. It's always been that way. I mean, it's amazing to me that you have what Elon Musk's SpaceX has done with their space technology, landing. When I saw their first rocket land, come back, their booster come down from space and land on a barge at sea, this is the most astonishing thing I've ever. Most people are like, whatever. Because nowadays people aren't even aware of how difficult it is. Everyone takes everything for granted. And I'm on Instagram, I'm bored, whatever. And I feel that's I think that we either need some kind of a global cataclysm. God forbid, I don't want it to be a war or something, or maybe we need a comet to hit the earth. Like, I don't know what it is, but I feel that there is a fundamental lack of respect for human endeavor. And you teach art. What is art but an extrapolation of the human spirit turned into something tangible, whether it's a drawing or a movie or a piece of music or a sculpture or whatever. It's somebody that's taking something inside of them and externalizing it and making it exist. And throughout human history, art has served to remind all of us that we are part of this thing that is larger than ourselves. The fact that somebody can create something out of a piece of clay and turn it into a beautiful vase or whatever, and suddenly there's an object that didn't exist before, that used minerals that exist on our planet that were reshaped and repurposed by us to create a vase that you could then sell to somebody that they would put in their house and have it for years, planting roses in it, or not planting, but have flowers they put in it. And it might sit on a table for Thanksgiving dinner for 50 fucking years, that somebody made 50 years ago out of clay, that they just channeled it. I mean, most people nowadays don't even think about that stuff. We just take everything for granted. You know, one of the things that's really depressed me is watching the footage coming out of like Mariupol in Ukraine. All of these buildings that people had to design and build, how much effort, how many years, all these structures are just flattened. The Holocaust memorial that was in Kiev, 100,000 Jews lost their lives basically at the foot of this memorial during World War II. They fucking blew it up. So not only you think about the horror of, and it wasn't just Jews, it was 12 million people lost their lives in concentration camps. 6 million of them happen to be Jews. I mean, that's why there's only 20 million Jews left in the world today, and yet no one wants us to have a state. But anyway, you think about all of this, and where's the respect for the continuum of human life? The fact that we're a part of something. You can go sit in pubs in England that are 1,000 years old. I can go have a beer in a 1,000-year-old pub. How cool is that? And like we take it all for granted, all of it. And there's a fundamental lack of respect for our fellow human beings now. And I think by the way, we will evolve out of it. This is a function of what's going on since 2007, and the iPhone was introduced, and social media and all this. We will evolve past it. Right now, we're still trying to figure it all out. There's only been really 2 generations of people, or maybe now 3. It'll get better. It's going to change. Something will happen, because right now, people, we just don't respect one another anymore. We don't have any respect for anything. We don't have respect for institutions. We don't have respect for one another as human beings. We don't have respect for the fact that we're living on a planet that exists in the Goldilocks zone. The fact that this planet exists with life on it, the probability is the fact that we're alive at all is a miracle, just like Dr. Manhattan said in The Watchmen, the thermodynamic miracle of life. So there you go. Well, Rob, it was good to see you, and congratulations that someone like yourself is teaching art to the next generation of people. That is reassuring. And thanks for being a member of the channel.
And Rob, that's it for us. Let me hold on. Let me just thank Rob for joining us. And
that
Rob,
was a good way to end.
I'll give you the last word. I'm feeling bad that your back is going to be destroyed after this meeting.
No, it's fine. Well, as I sit up, I just want to say to everybody, thanks for obviously supporting the channel. But beyond that, being an imagination connoisseur, this whole community that we have just keeps getting better and better and better. I mean, it's amazing, and we're going to be doing more with. That's why I renamed the channel from the Burnettwork to the Post Geek Singularity, because it's no longer about me anymore. It's about us and what we're doing more. And we've got the Latinx Force. We gotta get that going.
You got some copy to do for me.
I got to do copy, and I like the graphic, but instead of the Burnettwork, it's got to say Post Geek Singularity on it.
Yeah. Now we're changing everything.
Yeah. So it'll be great. But I want to thank you all for being members and all that. And I will be up and running, doing back to normal. And we're bringing back whining about movies as well. So people have been asking about that. And also, I should mention everything's on the website. It's now the Post Geeks. It's just postgeeksingularity.com. Mike Bodden is killing it. The website's totally revamped. It's awesome. And then we're doing a pretty funny podcast, Road Tripping with Rob, where Mike and I just talk as I'm driving to John Campia's to do his show. So we did it all last week. It's pretty fun. And there's that, and all the shows are going up where you can get podcasts, whether it's Apple Podcasts, wherever. And look out for the next. There's a lot of cool stuff coming on Designing Hollywood as well. I get to talk to the costume designers for Boba Fett and Moon Knight. It's going to be great. And I want to thank especially Roberto Suarez, the man, the myth, the legend, who makes these chats happen and sits here with us for this one. This is only 4 hours, Robert.
Just 4 hours. Just 4 hours.
4 hours. And I want to thank you all for being a part of that. I very much appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. You have a good rest of your weekend, and happy Easter for those of you who celebrate
Happy Easter. Happy Pesach. Happy everything. Whatever, wherever you're at, it's all good.
We'll see ya.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.